be a happy ending. Lay me down. Stuck in I love when you rub me down. Rub me down. Rubbing it down. Lay me down. Stuck in I love when you lay me down. Rub me down. Moving that mouth on it round and round. Lay me down. Rub me down. Baby, you know what you're here for. I am here for pleasure. And yes, my body is sore. When around you, you can give me what I want. And yes, I'm down. You can make a frown. Turn upside down. Touch me slow. Touch me low. Make me go. You're doing your job. Don't feel right. Don't wanna stop. Don't want you to stop, baby. Lay me down. Stuck it, I love when you rub me down. Rub me down. Rubbing it down. Lay me down. Stuck it, I love when you lay me down. Rub me down. Moving that mouth on it round and round. Lay me down. Rub me down. Working your hands up and down. Listen to your mom, liking the sound. Time to take it to another level. Hands were soft like a rose petal. See, she'll never settle for nothing less than satisfaction. She like the reaction. Full of passion, lots of action. Benedict like a fiddle. Approaching it like a puzzle. Feeling it like a riddle. Feeling good in the middle. Lay me down. Stuck it, I love when you rub me down. Rub me down. Rubbing it down. Lay me down. Stuck it, I love when you lay me down. Rub me down. Moving that mouth on it round and round. Lay me down. Rub me down. Smoke cold. I know you love it around. Smoke cold. I know you want it around. Smoke cold. I know you want it around. Smoke cold. I know you want it around. Smoke cold. Fuck the DBA. Chat sync with me. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Dumb bitch asses. Fuck the DBA. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, 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 shake that ass. To them ladies in the sector, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, and just shake it real fast. Bitch ass nigga named Alan Logic. Yeah, we know you LGBT in the closet. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, we say it to your face. Motherfucker can't even keep a care of me. Woo! Bitch ass nigga named Alan Logic. Yeah, we know you LGBT in the closet. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, we say it to your face. Motherfucker can't even keep a care of me. Woo! Fuck the DEA. Fuck the DBA. Chat sync with me. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Hey. Dumb bitch asses. Fuck the DBA. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, 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 shake that ass. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, and just shake it real fast. Pissy ass nigga named KIP. Crying ass nigga named motherfucking P. You see him on the panel, yeah, they talking about me. Yeah, you see him in the sector, yeah, they talking about D. Pussy ass nigga, silly ass nigga, old ass, worn out, dumb ass nigga. You see them all around in the motherfucking sector. They mad that they can't be the Godfather. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Chat sync with me. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Dumb bitch asses. Fuck the DBA. Welcome, everybody. This is your boy, your black YouTube therapist, D. Darrell Spears, aka the Godfather, aka Coach D. Happy to be here once again. Decided to do a impromptu once again out of the blue when you least expect it. Shout out to my brother BMT. Shout out to living life to the fullest. I know it got to be about 6-7 o'clock in the morning in Great Britain. Shout out to on the West Coast, Golden Black One. How you doing, baby? How you doing? Happy to be here. Just want to chop it up with you all a little bit on Mr. Umar Johnson. 6 a.m. in the morning. Happy to see you here, baby. So I've been watching a lot from the clouds. And when I first learned that Umar Johnson met up with Sukihana once again, I knew it was a recipe for disaster. I knew it because everything that Umar does that he should not do will be magnified in these YouTube streets. Shout out to my brother Sheep stay sleepy. I mean Sheep's sleep stay easy. I'm sorry. He did a video on Umar, and Sheep pointed out that Umar Johnson does not know good or bad publicity. He doesn't know the difference. And he functions as if he can just do shit and it's not going to come with some level of consequence. Now, I was in the chat when Sleep did his video earlier today. I was actually in my office chilling. And as I was listening to this, I'm like, damn, he making so much sense. Because Umar continuously does this crazy ass shit over and over and over to the point where we trying to figure out what the fuck are you doing, man? And how often do we have to do this shit with Umar? And Sheep Stay Sleep TV pointed out that Umar don't know the difference or he just don't give a damn. Now, he also made another point that referenced that Umar probably did not volunteer. I mean, probably didn't ask to have a picture with her. It could have been that she wanted a picture with him. You look at um his his YouTube channel that he's on all the time, even though he claimed he don't own it. He has shown a plethora of pictures that he has taken with nothing but women, nothing but women. Now, so this leads me to feel like Umar has talked very rough as it relates to black men and what they should not be doing. And yes, black men should be held accountable for the bullshit that causes problems in the community. I agree with that. But 90% of the fucking pictures that you see is Umar hugged up, faced up, body to body with women. And I'm being generous giving it 80% because it's more like 99.9%. Suki Honda, no matter how much she claims she made, she's of consciousness and she would love to have somebody like Umar Johnson to clean her up and use her the right way. But Suki, you could do that shit on your own, baby. You don't need Umar Johnson to show you the right path. But what do Mr. Umar Johnson, as usual, got to respond to every fucking thing? Well, I would consider as a Pan African the greatest philosopher, psychologist, school teacher slash principal of all time, the greatest orator, the greatest educator, the greatest every fucking thing, except the greatest of not opening up a fucking school. Because I don't want really to be honest with you guys. I don't want to hear Umar speak of any fucking thing unless it's about the goddamn school. Let me repeat that again. I, D. Durrell, refuse to entertain Umar Johnson foolishness on YouTube unless it is about the school opening. I care less who Umar fucking. I care less who Umar sleeping with or being with, spending his time with, kissing, whatever shit that he like to be. I care less. What I care about is the opening of the project, allowing FDMG Academy to be a long-term success and a vital part of the black community. Not whether or not he hugged up with a social media idiot like Suki Hana and others. But see, this is the shit that Umar thrives off of. This is the shit that he does. Yeah, he has consistently done this shit. Getting with the conscious stripper, the shit with Boyce and what's the guy from Detroit? Cyrus Susan Seti, Young Pharaoh, all of this shit. All of it. We are not hearing about the goddamn school. And I want Umar to be successful. I really do. But you're putting Punanni over politics. The very thing that you claim as a Pan African, you are telling black men not to do and telling black people, specifically black men, you're the one putting Punanni over politics. This is an example of you putting Punanni over politics. You are making Suki Hana the point of conversation. Because to be honest with you, the black community care less about what the fuck Sukihana is doing. We don't give a shit. We already labeled her for what she is. We accept it. Nobody's trying to change her. Nobody's trying to save her. She a grown ass woman, and if she wanna eat ass and do all this other disgusting shit on YouTube and talk about how she wanna tax niggas and shit, and I'm selling this ass and niggas gonna buy it and all this other shit, and you're doing porno movies and now you're rapping. Hey, make your money whatever way you feel. Okay. But let's not pretend, Suki, that through all of the disgusting shit that you've been doing, that all of a sudden you have a conscience of wanting to make the black community better, when all in essence you're making black women who are part of the black community look worse. What's up, West Bank? VDA 504, brother. That's the issue. The issue is that you're trying to save somebody who don't want to be saved. You're trying to save someone who has a scarcity mindset and under the disguise of capitalism, who cares about getting the bag at all costs, and she don't give a damn how bad it makes her look. Spot him say, it's funny. Umar will cure Suki's status personality disorder. That's funny. But it's true. What's up, Virtuous Woman TV? I'm speaking of Umar and his efforts to clean up Sukihana. He met her in person in Miami and took pictures, innocent as it is. But we all know when it comes to Umar Johnson and women, nothing is real innocent about that. Umar Johnson has a history, and just recently, the stuff with Tasha K pointing out someone that Umar was trying to have a concubine he can see whenever he go into the town and shit. He basically hit women up from one city to another that he can be cool with, so he can have sex with them. It's a concubine just waiting. But the reality is that Umar knows that what he's doing is wrong. That was Umar has consistently been his worst enemy. Virtuous woman say Suki is on ACT though, so I wonder how that's gonna work. Shit, you tell me. West Bank said, "Man, I'm tired of this Umar character. That's why he is a character stealing from the community allegedly." I'm not gonna say he's stealing from the community, but I'm not gonna say he is. I'm not gonna say he's not. One or the other. But what's concerning me is that every chance he get to be on the camera, he will be on the camera, and he will run his mouth because he's a great orator. And so that's what it is. And to be honest with you, when it comes to Umar in this situation, and shut out the Doe Eyes TV. What's up, baby? How you doing, Queen? Like, of all women, you choose to go and to be honest with you, let's put this into perspective. Suki Hana knew Umar Johnson was coming to her home state and hometown. He knew. And so he treats black women one way, he treats black men another way. 90% of the goddamn pictures, even today and yesterday, all you see is Umar hugged up with women, hugged up with women, hugged up with women. You're hugged up with women and you failing to gain any level of respect and camaraderie with black men. And given that this will probably not be the end of it, he will have more and more situations of him meeting with Sukihana and having a whatever, it's just crazy to even think about this. So what are we gonna do? So this shit is what it is. Though I says, does this title suggest an entanglement with Sukihana, or has he defended her? He has defended her, and this is speculation in regard to him potentially being with her. He met her allegedly in Miami, in Miami, where he's at, South Florida. First to the left, Orion said, Darrell, you're now beginning to critique Umar. You are now sounding like Lennon. No, no, no. I'm not sounding like Lennon Otter because I refuse to make 50 videos in a row for 3, 4 hours a day to make money off of YouTube. What I'm pointing out and giving critique is that the fact that you participated in a Pan-African mindset. I'm sorry, you continue to talk about having a Pan-African mindset, but you are interacting with people who don't. Sukihana is not, in my opinion, conscious. And the shit is ridiculous. So I'm just sitting there, I see the chat 26 here, get the likes up, get the likes up. Umar is definitely engaging in Punanni over politics. The very thing that he claimed that black people shouldn't be doing, specifically men. See, you know what the worst thing about this is? Is that Suki is not going to change who she is. And if she attempts to change, it's just basically a change in money and energy. And so, as we see, Umar is in another kerfuffle, and we don't know where the hell this shit gonna go with him and Sukihana. And the fact that when he found out that she wanted to be under him and she had daddy issues, Umar responded like he was ready to make this woman. And my position is that when will Umar begin to see this bullshit, retool, revitalize himself, and go back at it? And my position is this. This week is Suki Hana. Next week is gonna be somebody else. Then you're gonna have another woman that came out the blue, like on Tasha K channel, saying Umar did this and do that. Umar has shown that he is not disciplined around women. He loses his mind. So people are in the chat, they hear me out, and I'm just talking about this because he is the one who talked about Punanni over politics multiple times. Black men, you need to be more politically astute. Black men, you need to read more about politics, understand the state, federal, the state, the local government, state, and etc. And so this is the reality, guys. There's still no goddamn school. So I'm back. I see Virtuous Woman TV saying, well, hold on, Darrell. Are you assuming a sexual relationship because who he is or because of who she is? I'm assuming a potential sexual relationship because Umar Johnson has consistently made poor choices when interacting with women, and it's usually because it became sexualized. In conjunction with that, I cannot um basically assume or basically not think that Sokiana, who actually said she would want to be under the guidance of Umar Johnson from a spiritual and sexual standpoint. That's the evidence that came out of her mouth and his mouth that they both would be interested, but for whatever reason. And I stated, okay? And it's and I'm gonna bring the link out a little bit for this. But how many times do we have to do this with Umar? Yes, she said that. She said this. She said she wants to be under Umar. I want a man like Umar Johnson. I wish I had a man like Umar Johnson that could take me under his wings. I got daddy issues. I got problems. It's well documented. I love to freak on camera to get paid. I'm spiritually broken. I need a man like you, Umar Johnson, who will take me and use me the right way. This is what came out of his mouth, not my mouth. He, in his explanation of how he would interact with her, he not one time did he say, "Listen, I can't do it." What he said was, "Well, you got to go through these trials and clean yourself up and spiritually be whole again, and do this and do that, and I will consider having sex with you." That's what he stated. So And to be honest with you, listen, yeah, he's on King Kong consciousness is basically someone that he has known that he probably pay him or whatever to do his content and what things he say, and that's fine with me. King Kong consciousness is actually a good channel. However, so it's another day, another viral video, another situation when Umar find himself in these YouTube streets and people talking. So I'm gonna go ahead and send this link out. Anybody want to come up and chop it up with me? I'm gonna be on for about an hour, hour and a half, and I'm not gonna be on too long. But I do have the link out here. But this is the shit that Umar does, man, and it's like you keep doing this, Punanni will be the downfall of you. What's up, Terry the Notary Public? You will take any woman, no matter how dirt to the ground, how low to the ground she is, any woman, and make her a housewife. So I'm sitting this and I'm watching. I'm watching several content creators. I'm seeing people talking about they were on this shit. Soon as this picture post a video of him, people were quickly on it. Everybody got a goddamn opinion. No, don't matter what sector you're in. Everybody has an opinion. So, this is the reality. So I see Virtuous Woman TV came up. What's up, sis? Good to see you here.
What's up, D Darrell?
Hey, what's up with you, baby? Good to see you.
Good
Hear
to
from
see
you.
you too. I'm so happy to be on your panel for the first time.
Exactly, exactly. First time for everything.
Yes, yes, but I definitely want to weigh in on this topic because you know what I think is really interesting because you know how you were mentioning like Umar's history when it comes to dealing with women and so forth.
Right,
And then versus dealing with a woman like Suki Hana, who's basically saying like, "Hey, I have daddy issues. For the most part, I think she's alluding to having been exploited maybe by men,
right.
even because some women, even though they think they're empowered or voluntarily participate in all these hypersexualized activities, they're really being exploited in a to their own ignorance. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that money has a way of making women feel like they're in control of something, which
Right.
is
I agree with that because of the fact that there's some type of financial gain. Is
yes.
like it's. I mean, I understand making money in itself is empowering, but look at what you're giving up spiritually.
Right, exactly. And then I think a lot of women make the mistake of believing that money means to them what it means to the person that's giving it to them. So it may represent your value to you, but to them they throw away money all the time. So throwing it
Yes.
at you is no different. It doesn't mean that they value you, but it's like this culture of women is teaching women that, oh, if he's spending money that he values you more, not knowing that a lot of men don't even value money. They value what money can get them, which is often the opportunity to exploit or control something. You see what I'm saying? so
Correct. And
so
also, you have to look at it from the perspective of um how when you're talking about how men value money and how they use it to control. It
mhm,
also has to be relative to what what you can afford to spend and trick off. Basically, if you're
mhm,
a
mhm,
millionaire, you spending $3,000, $4,000 is nothing to somebody who never saw that type of money.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to somebody who makes 60, 70,000, you can't afford to spend that type of money. So it's also relative to what that person has, and what they can, the
or
discretion.
or
Yeah,
what that industry has, because listen, a lot of this stuff they getting funded by record labels, entertainment companies. So this 100K that's making a woman willing to sell her soul is lunch money to these producers. they're
correct.
gonna they're gonna get that back 50 fold, if not more, and if not having you in debt in the end. Now, I wanted to talk about this from a Umar Johnson perspective because listen, I'm not going to front like I know a lot about Umar, but what I'm realizing is that within the conscious sector, religious sector, spiritual sects of life, they are developing capitalistic industries just like corporate America and anything else. So they're really parallel, but because they're coming with that conscious spiritual energy, a lot of people are expecting them to have a virtuous intent, and they don't. And so
Okay.
you see what I'm saying? So I think so her, even her eyeing Umar and saying like, hey, he's conscious, he's about our people, and I'm this exploited woman who's spiritually broken. I want to be led by him. It's because you're assuming that he's gonna have more of your best interest than any other man that you're dealing with, and you might not be correct about that because you refuse to see spirituality and consciousness through the lens that you see the rest of the world, because you're looking for hope. And it's like, so I feel like moving forward that a lot of women are going to be deceived by pastors and conscious people and religious zealots and so forth, because it seems like it's opposite to what's been exploiting them, but they're still going to be exploited because they don't have any self respect. Like they
Right.
need therapy. They don't need
Yes,
to be
they
under
do.
anybody's tutelage. Like
Yes,
you need
she
a
she
you,
she does need therapy.
yeah, you need a
And
therapist.
yes, and the fact of the matter is that, um obviously at this point in the game for her, I don't know her age. I'm assuming she's probably
I
in
think
her.
she's 30. I
Oh,
think she
she's
said she's
30 years
30.
old?
Yeah, she's 30.
Oh, wow. I thought she was more like 25, 20.
No, she's 30 and she has four kids. And
Wow.
her mom is her manager. And they actually like are pretty like square Afrocentric kind of people. So the Sukihana thing, from my perspective and watching, was always an act. Like she has a, I don't know what her situation is with her dad, but she seemed to have a good upbringing, and like they have a like family values and things like that. And like I
Right.
said,
Now
her
she
mom is,
she she stated she has dad issues. She has daddy issues. And she
yeah.
pointed that out as far as things that, hey Umar, if you are open to see this is the tricky thing, and this is the problem, and this is where things get messy. I think that as a people, um, as black people, period, I think when we drive through that journey of spirituality and wholeness and trying to seek the truth, for some reason we want to stumble upon someone that we can also be intimately or sexually, um there has to be someone, like some element of that in the process. And I
Hmm.
think that it's better that we take that out of the equation. Now I understand, as human beings we are naturally attracted to people and we will think that way. But it seems like, in the conscious community, we've seen this in other, in the church. How many times we see people they're seeking spiritual growth, and it gets bypassed for the fact that they end up falling in love or having sex or being exploited by the person who's in the position of power.
Well, yeah, that could be one perspective. Or do you think that whatever energy is inside of them, I don't want to use the word demons and things like that, but do you think that they're just looking for something to latch onto? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
are they?
I think from my perspective, Suki Hana realizes, and because you did speak of the fact that she does come from some level of has great, she has realized. I think at some point she is reflecting on what she has given up spiritually to make money,
Mm.
and she has some remorse and regret, and she's looking at herself as a 30 now that you're saying she's 30 years old with 4 children,
Mhm.
and I think she's at this point wondering how much time I have in this and how much time can I do this, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life being objectified in this manner. And,
Well,
and
I mean, but like, let me ask you this: like, why do you? So basically, you're saying like she's having an attack of conscience, but why not assume that it's just a grift, like how Black China did? Black China turned her life over to God. She went and got a doctorate in Bible studies. She took out her
whatever that's worth,
whatever that is. Talk about whatever that's worth. But she took out her butt shot. She took out her implants. She's took off her eyelashes, and now she's reformed. And so I see Suki Hana as going the pro black route. Because even when she went through that thing recently where that dude kissed her in the mouth,
right?
and everybody, you had the feminists trying to hype her up to try to make this a big thing. Then you had the men saying, man, let that go, that was nothing. And then so she came out with this statement like, I'm a pro black woman. And I'm like, pro black where? Like every representation that you have made of yourself is anti black. You in videos getting walk like a dog by rappers. You talking about eating ass. You walking down the street butt booty naked. You on OnlyFans, getting whatever smutted out. All of that shit, in my opinion, is anti-black. But
Right.
then when you decide not to advocate for yourself, now it's under the guise of pro-blackness. And I think some people define pro-blackness as in covering for degeneracy in men. And it's like that's what we're trying to move away from. But people still try to hide under that when they but it's like, so if you haven't been advocating for pro blackness this whole time, then you don't get to say, oh, I'm pro black and this is the reason why I accepted or tolerated XYZ. You see what I'm saying? But so along that line of thinking ushers in Umar. And so I'm like, okay, I don't know. I just feel like it's a grift.
Potentially,
I
and,
don't think it's an attack of conscience. I really don't. I think it's just
but my brother,
it's a way to
sh-
clean up her money. That's what I'm trying to say.
potentially, now I didn't know this, but my brother, sheep's stay sleep TV stated
Hmm.
earlier today
Hmm.
that she's supposed to be dropping an album like in the next 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. So there could be some other things involved because I didn't know I know she raps and all that stuff, but she has an album getting ready to come out that she's getting ready to drop pretty soon. So
Hmm.
this could be something potentially that draws attention to her. She's definitely all in the YouTube streets and social media right now because of this, the exposure that this brought, even though she's already done things that have given her good and bad, publicity. But based on how she's operated, I don't think she cared one way or the other. But the timing of the fact that she does have an album coming out pretty soon can, make one, be a little bit skeptical of where she's going. Um,
Yeah, or she may have just gone too low. You know what I mean? Like, like you
okay.
may have, like it's one thing to be, sexual or, and it's another thing. Like she's just bottomed out. Like, let's be honest, like you made a song about eating ass. Like, what else can you do? Like, I mean, you gonna be like, I was getting, I fucking a broomstick. I'm getting fisted. Ain't no fisting. I mean, like how, like, like where do we go from here? Like, where do we go
I'm gonna
from
be
here?
honest. You said this, though, but I don't.
I don't listen to her music, but I just like
I
I'm
mean,
hearing.
listen, I don't listen to her music either, but it's out. Like she did a little thing with the little girl, Sexy Red, who she got a song called Pound Town. I mean, Pound Town. She like, I just went to Pound Town. My booty hole brown, and it's brown. My booty hole brown, and they got, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what are y'all like? What are we doing? And then I hate so much that it's brown skinned girls doing the lowest of the low to, you know what I mean, to be relevant. And so it's like, so if you look at just the path of a brown skinned girl, like you've already tried your hand at sexuality, you went as low as you could with that, and you still are not a mainstream person. And so now you're going to use your blackness to be pro black with it. That's how I see it. Like now you're going to go the conscious route. Like what, Umar going to put you in a turban and a little African outfit now? Like, come on now. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know.
I feel you on that. I'm going to reserve my opinion um of where she's going because my position was mainly to kind of look at what the hell Umar's doing at
Yeah.
this point, but I mean I'm looking at I am assessing both sides of it
But
coming
you
from
don't
her.
think they're doing the same thing?
Yes, I do think they're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I can understand you because you don't know enough about her to look at it from her side of it. So I understand that, but
Yeah.
it's like an exchange. You know what I mean? So do you feel like he's doing it because he wants this girl, or do you think that he's trying to cross over and gain some publicity and try to get in touch with some spenders to promote his own efforts?
Okay, that's a very complex statement you made, and I'm gonna say this as it relates to Umar Johnson. At this point, Umar Johnson has reduced himself to being a content creator as opposed to being to me a conscious leader, because there are people who actually think Umar Johnson is a leader, and I'm like, leader of what? He hasn't led anything. Now, five, 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have said different. But the fact of the matter is that Umar, in my position, has basically wasted his social capital to the black community, and he did not utilize it effective enough so that he could have garnered more support, like you're saying. And so now he's at a point where the school has not opened. He's been taking donations for over 10 years. He never talks about it, which is one of the biggest criticisms that I have, is that I really don't want to hear about this foolishness with him and Sukihan. I really want to hear about when is the school going to open, what's the process, how much money we have. I want to see some level of transparency that people have been asking about. So Umar has put himself in a position where he's more content creator than actual Pan African leader per se of trying to help the black community, particularly with education and psychology. And so Umar is thirsty with women. He's very thirsty. I've seen now. I just want to, and I'm gonna say this from the perspective of me actually meeting Umar multiple times, and
Oh, okay.
I've met Umar several times, and I had conversations with him a couple of times. Umar is thirsty. He's very thirsty. Now I'm gonna say that
But thirsty. When you say thirsty, thirsty for what?
for women, he's very
But
lustful.
are you talking? Oh, you mean like for women sexually? Okay, but I've also heard Umar say that women were his primary funders.
They are his primary funders.
So don't. Okay, so I see what you're saying, but like the way I see these so-called lusty men I see them almost, I don't want to say grooming because even that word is overused, but I see them, they're kind of like hoes, or whores. Like I see them like whoring themselves out to women so that women can be affectionate enough to support their efforts. You know what I mean? So I see him as just trying to get money out of women. I don't, because if it's lust, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if it's I
Okay,
don't.
I'm gonna paint a picture for you.
Okay,
You
okay,
can
okay,
understand where I'm coming from. Okay,
okay. Go ahead.
now I'm gonna say this: 2017, right? This is before I even start, really getting into YouTube per se. Umar came to Houston. I'm in Houston. That's where I reside. Umar came to the Shrine of the Black Madonna, which is a Pan African church. Um, it's a an Orthodox Christian Pan African institution. Okay, that event that this is when Umar was real hot. That event was like a concert almost. Like Umar had at least 3 to 5 thousand people came to that church, and there were women dressed like they were going to the club for a Pan African event,
Mhm.
and these women were coming there to meet and talk to Umar.
Mhm.
Before they had to when before Umar came up, that there were women talking to him. Umar was going doing this and that. Women talking to him. Women want pictures. Umar liked that shit. He actually
But is he not?
thrived on that.
Is he not supposed to? I mean, like I don't like. What's the problem with
I'm gonna
him?
say this. I'm not gonna say as a man you don't want to be around beautiful women, but when you're in a position of where you're trying to be, where you're trying to lead and you're trying to be an example, you have to
Yeah,
show some level of discipline, because you're going to allow that to consume you, and
yeah.
it's going to ruin your
Your
reputation
business.
with the community. And so
Yeah.
my position is that, of course, I'm not saying, Umar, you're a single man, you're not married. I'm not saying you shouldn't take, I would say, um indulge in some of that per se, but you have to be very careful. You have to be very selective. And what I
He
would
does, but at the same time, D. Darrell, you have to admit that if he does not give them something they can feel, then they're not going to fund him. You know what I
he
mean?
can't,
So
wait a minute, wait, hold on. What do you mean give them something they can feel? What do you mean
I
by
mean,
that?
you gotta like you gotta make the ladies feel good. Whether you gotta compliment them or embrace them. Like those
And this is
women,
the
like
problem with our community.
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying
Okay,
from his perspective, he's being funded predominantly by women. I've heard him say he didn't got his shoes, his birthday gifts, and donations for his organizations from women. Now, from
but
you, from the brothers'
That's the
perspective,
problem.
you guys are not, listen, hold on. From the brothers' perspective, keep it honest. You guys are not pouring out your money to support the next man's effort. Y'all are pouring out y'all opinions and for the most part being contrarians and stopping them niggas bags. So their only hope is in women because y'all brothers ain't supporting each other when one person takes the lead in one direction or each other. Y'all spend all your time vetting each other.
okay.
So
So no,
leaving women.
hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's slow this down. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Now
okay.
you do have a point as far as black men supporting other men, as it involves projects and other different things. Black men in general not supporting enough, and that's just not with black men, just the community. Period. I do think
Mhm.
you do have a point with that. However, when it comes to this one instant with him, Umar has a healthy amount of black male support. Because there were a lot of black men there, and as a person that has followed Umar for over 10 years, there's a lot of black men that support Umar Johnson. So now, as far as him saying, now see, this is the
Nah,
issue.
you know definitely well that women are, if a woman is sexually attracted to a man, especially, why you think all these rappers and stuff and singers, why you think they all present as single? Because they need women to have that hope. Like them showing up scantily clad is no different than them throwing panties on stage at a concert.
Yes,
So
but what I'm stating is that in regards to his support, I want to keep. I get what you're saying, but I mean from a generalized perspective, true. But in looking at his and specifically going on with Umar in itself, Umar has a decent male support as far as level of support. Now, a lot of those men left over time because of the stuff that he was doing. Now, and I'm going by what I've seen with my own eyes, like literally seeing him speak, seeing the events. There are a lot of men that now, of course, there were way more women, but for Umar to assume and say that there's mainly black, see the thing about it, his core group is black women, single black women with children, with young black boys that they're having difficulty raising. And I get that because I work in the same field. Most of my clients, particularly those that are in at that as far as with kids and things like that, as far as black kids it's mainly women that as far as that aspect of what I do. So I get what Umar goes through and I get that aspect of the support because a lot of this, and that was actually led. I learned about Umar through a single mother who had issues raising their child that was diagnosed with ADHD. That's how I learned about it. Because when I was working with her son and treating him and stuff, she was saying, "Oh, you remind me of this guy named Umar, and you kind of like whatever." And I'm like, who is Umar? And I went on YouTube, learned about Umar, and I'm like, okay, I can dig what he's doing. Okay. But the fact for him to go out and say this stuff, I mean, you can't minimize the black men that actually support you, even though it should be more. So I get that. But when you're in a position of guiding people and leading people, you have to show some level of discretion. Because if you just, I mean, I understand you got to make them feel good, but see, my thing is that when we're doing that, okay, I get that. But what about the work that comes with that, virtuous woman? That's
no,
work.
I mean
Like we got to have more than just making each other feel good.
no,
I'm looking at the
I'm
work.
not saying that. I'm just saying like that's just plain old customer service. But listen, if he was to have more discretion, the women are gonna come harder. Like women, that would only make him more sexually attractive, the fact that he had discretion. So don't get it twisted. Like women want what they want, and the more unavailable or unattainable or discriminating a man seems, the more sexually attractive. So that would just make it even worse. But at the end of the day, if you have people who are donating or potential donors or willing to spend money or are willing to enroll their kids, you have to treat them with a level of affection because they're women. Like that's just how it is.
Okay, I get that, but okay,
So
okay.
then why? Okay.
But wait a minute, but see, a level of affection can be perceived in many different ways,
Well,
and
yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
listen, if you running around and you saying sis, and I'm about the black community, at a minimum, I'm gonna need a familial type of affection. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna need you to make me feel like how you that passion that you claim you have for the community. If I get up to you up close and personal, and you're like, get away from me, hold on, woman, I don't want you. Come on now, that's gonna be a contradiction.
how? Wait a minute. So
This is
wait a
weird
minute.
now. This is getting weird.
We can't. You telling me black women can't compartmentalize between a man's work and the emotion that you're looking for an emotional. It's almost like you're telling me black
Yes,
women are wanting a pseudo boyfriend, a pseudo man,
yes,
but that's
yes,
not.
Exactly.
See, but see, that's
yes.
the problem with the
Tell lies
pastor
to
and
us,
the
D
church.
Rap.
Exactly. That's the point.
And
But
that's why
listen,
they
but look at
can't get
this.
no man because they want the possibility of a piece of man or the possibility of getting a whole
Yes,
man.
but and then look at
And
the
that needs to
demographic of
stop.
women. You're dealing with women who are looking for a father for their children, who they
Right.
claim they can't raise by themselves, and they are projecting all of that onto Umar and seeing him as the great black hope. And mind you, he probably wouldn't even fool with their kids, even if he was married to them. He does not strike me as a family type of guy. Obviously not, because he's single at his big age. But to answer your question, yes, that's how women are.
Okay, this is a very interesting. I'm actually kind of glad that you spoke, because this is a very, you're giving me a very I would say, I'm not saying it's unorthodox, but it is a very unique perspective coming from a woman, as looking at it from the lens of a woman looking at Umar. So
Yeah.
are you saying this in a lens of how you know how other women react to a guy like Umar?
I don't even think it's a Umar thing. I think it's I think it's men with platforms in general. You know what I mean? Like men who seem like they're in control, they're resolute, whether that platform is a church or a YouTube channel or a
Right,
school. They are attaching to the idea of what that man represents. You know what I mean?
right,
And deciding what, what they're chasing them. Women,
right. But
that's what
see,
they're doing.
now, I get that, because I understand that, and I have went through some levels of that in the position that I'm in, as far as doing the
Yeah.
things that I do professionally, and things, and dealing with, and that's why I don't go into schools, and I don't do contracting in schools as much as I used to, because a lot of times, and see, and what the black community don't understand is that there's not a lot of black men in mental health, and
Mhm.
it's less than 5%. So when you have black male professionals that go in and they're of value, you're going to be seen and viewed a certain way. And I
Mhm.
get that. And there are parents that I've had that kind of want to put you in that father role, but that's
Mhm.
not ethically, as a professional, as a mental health professional, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. Umar is a mental health professional, as long, also within the education. But my issue is that Umar has not done a great job of separating that, regardless of how the women perceive him. He has to be more tactful in allowing to have that emotional energy that you talked about, but at the same time have some level of professionalism and direction as far as the work. And that's the reason why
But D. Darrell, you can't prove. First of all, he's not dating them. He's not marrying them, and you can't prove
but
he's having
no,
sex
but
with them.
Umar has a history of indulging with certain women. He's had several scandals.
Conscious scripter. One came out with a Haitian chick, and
Yes,
this to me, and this is the problem when you have no
But
dick. This,
he's a single man. If you have a
let me
couple
say,
of
no, that's the problem.
here
And I
and
want
there,
you
that's not a big deal.
you ladies understand about single men right now. When you're doing work, serious work, in regards to you doing this for the betterment of the community and the children, you have to prioritize and be serious on what you're doing. You can't be running here single and then give the possibility to lie slaves, which he is, because he has no discipline, and sling cock and then getting caught up, which he did, and then asking
What
for
do you mean caught up
asking
though?
people, the black community,
What?
black
Hold on,
women, to
hold
be
on.
giving
We
him
gotta have a
money
dialogue. What do you mean caught up?
for a school that right now is now we're in the month of August. That's now 9 years now. Okay, you started this journey back in 2014 around the same month, and we're looking at almost a decade. No school,
And
nothing.
what have you done in the last decade? Like, stop
Don't
it.
worry about what I'm doing.
LeBron James got a school.
The
LeBron
conversation is
James
about
got a
Dr.
school,
Omar
and his people
Johnson,
can't even
what
pass
you
the
worship.
state
The
test.
conversation on your worshiper of Dr. Omar Johnson, not D. Darrell,
I
not
don't even know
Karis Ray,
him.
not D. Darrell, not Karis Ray, Omar Abdul Johnson, who is now taking pictures of the ass eater Sukiana. And I heard one person on Facebook told me
Yeah,
personally
you have a
that
lot of
that
nerve. You have a lot of nerve. If you
no,
haven't even,
he
he
wants the
hasn't
royal
accomplished something
cookies.
you haven't
He
even
wants the
attempted.
royal cookies. He
You
wants the
haven't
royal
even
cookies.
tried.
And
So
he
how are you
wants
going to
a
talk
royal
about his
cookies.
failures?
He wants the royal cookies. End of discussion.
No, it ain't no end of discussion.
Let me tell you something.
No, let me tell you something. I hate
hold on. Let's have dialogue.
no,
Let's have dialogue.
I don't like people who ridicule people for failing at something they never tried.
Let me tell you something.
No, you're not
This
gonna
dude
say
is a
something.
social media personality. I don't hear nothing of any substance. He
What are
talked
you
the same
doing?
thing over year after year, and he has not fulfilled the great objective, which he said on my
No, you
good friend's
don't have an
fucking
objective.
platform
You're
when he had him on.
projecting.
He said he wants to secure his legacy, and his focus on school right.
Whatever.
Nothing more, nothing. What do you mean, whatever? Did you ever drop the actual link of the stream that me and my good friend did? And he said, person out his mouth said his focus now is getting the school run to fulfill his legacy. Nothing more, nothing less.
Man, you know what? You guys always have something to say. You always have something to say, and you're not doing better than Umar.
It's to educate these boys and girls to see prayer. He said, I want to fulfill this school. That is my end result.
That's not easy to do.
He told me and Marius personally. He told me and Marius personally. So he's not in the business of saying want the betterment of black boys, black girls. If you're
opening a school is not easy.
And I agree with that. It's not easy.
It's not easy. I don't know why. Hold on. When is this guy gonna be quiet? Like, is he
chaos. You gotta let her respond back.
Take a breath.
So that's why.
No, stop.
And say what?
Chaos.
I watched the man for over a decade.
Yes,
chaos.
You gotta let her respond. You gotta let her rebuttal.
Is it gonna happen? I told people personally.
Yes.
No. And trust me, I have supported him.
Come on, brother.
I have gave my money, boss product.
See,
you gotta let her rebuttal.
See, now I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, D. Darrell. I'm on the verge of leaving. Now that's where that Umar touch will come in, because I need somebody that's emotionally connected to the fact that somebody else is in the damn room. Chaos could never garner the type of support that Umar could from women because he does not have emotional intelligence.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. I don't know.
Bullshit. There's difference.
Hold on, Chaos. Slow down. Okay, I don't want to make this about anybody on the panel. I want to really focus on. Let's pivot back to Umar and Soki Hana. Let's look at Umar's work. So what I'm gonna say now, Virtuous, I know there's some things that you were trying to get out, and I know you weren't able to have the exchange. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to rebuttal what Chaos was saying, and then I'd like to respond.
I don't really have a solid rebuttal because I feel like what he was saying was pretty fragmented. But what I did take away from it was, and this is a problem too, a lot of people ridicule people for failing at things they never even attempted. If it did take him 10 years to get this school off the ground, so what? He's one man working on community donations, which we don't support each other. And at least he's attempting. He educated himself, so he invested in himself what he even needs to be able to take on something like that. It could take 10 or 20 years. Oprah Winfrey did it, who doesn't have nearly the same amount of obstacles as Umar and failed at hers. LeBron James, it just came out that his 8th graders have been failing the state math test for 3 years straight. So to ridicule him for, it's been 9 years and you haven't gotten this. Do you know what he's attempting? Do you know what a school is? My family had a school 2 years old to 5th grade for 35 years. And when the shit came crumbling down, it broke everybody's heart. But that's what happens. Especially when you're relying on Black people. They don't pay their tuition. Right. They gossip. Parents turn against teachers. They don't have enough money to pay people. People spread rumors and sully the reputation. It's a whole lot of stuff going into that. And I think that he's just not given enough grace. And then the lack of grace comes from people who are doing less. And I just don't understand that.
So I get what you're saying, Virtuous Woman, but you're missing a dynamic. And one of the dynamics is that Umar himself has been at the point of contention with a lot of people in the Black community. He has said some things that to me were a bit offensive, and it was a bit irresponsible. You can't want money from the Black community and call them trifling. You can't say these type of things. You can't sit
Why not?
Say, because you can't offend the very people. You cannot offend the very people who you're seeking donations from. Now,
Exactly, but y'all want him to keep, but to stiff arm them women though. Make it make
no,
sense.
no. Listen, the issue with that now, as far as stiff arming the women and as far as that, those are two different things. Now, as far as the women, I don't have a problem with Umar having relationships with women. What I do have a problem with is that he has had issues with having relationships with women who have stifled the growth of his project.
How can you prove that that is why the
The
growth was
conscious
stifled?
the conscious stripper damaged his image. This other recent lady, with the Haitian lady that was on Tasha K, she also said some very damaging things about Umar.
Okay, and did Stormy Daniels not damage Donald Trump's? Did Monica Lewinsky not damage Bill Clinton? It happens.
Come on now, wait a minute,
I'm,
wait.
I'm serious.
Yes, but we're talking about the black
That's
community. We're
what
not
women
talking about other
do.
communities.
That's what women do, D. Darrell. Like you guys should know that as men. I don't understand why you guys are having like this. It's giving disingenuous. Like you guys know what it is. Like if
I
you're
know
dealing
what
with
it is,
women,
but
you're
Umar
gonna
is
have a
not.
potential.
But Umar, at the age that he's at, should know better. Umar,
Yes.
um, at the age that he is, should show more discipline.
Yes.
Umar, at the age that he is, with the education and knowledge and understanding, have to understand when you are a black man and you're being seen in a certain way. Yes, the women are going to come in droves. They're going to press you. They're going to do this and that,
They're gonna
and
test
you
you.
have to understand in your position, you can't just accept all suitors and be loose with it. It's just the reality of it. Listen, I look
Man,
from my
y'all
perspective.
are deifying. I feel like this is part of you guys deifying people in leadership positions. Like he ain't nothing but a regular old nigga, just like anybody else, and he's subject to the same
I don't know about
fallacies.
that. Virtual
Now you may look at him and think that he's worthy of more, and that's not necessarily how he perceives himself. He's just a man, and you guys are like. You're because of your status in this world, you should be this type of man, and that to me is you guys deifying him.
No. I'm not here to have any type of moral high ground on what kind of man he should be. I'm looking at the fact that the decisions that he has made have been detrimental to the growth of opening the school. Because for me, a person who donated thousands to this project over the years, I fell in some position that he's more focused now on being a content creator instead of doing the work.
Exactly.
Because and that's my issue. See, I overlook the stuff with the conscious. I cared less about who Umar screwed. All of this other little stuff with him doing things and the stuff with his his baby mothers and all that stuff like that. I care less about it because that's your personal
Wait,
life.
he has kids?
Yes, Umar
Yes.
got
Yes.
two
Two
children.
kids.
Oh, okay. How old are they?
And they're adults.
You late virtual.
Oh wow.
I started the conversation by saying I don't know Umar, so you can't hold me to that. I'm
Okay,
not a
yeah, but
Umar. I'm not an Umar groupie.
Umar has two mothers. I mean, two children by two different black women.
Mhm,
One, I think one of them is an adult. She's
mhm.
grown now. The other one is she's like 12 or 13 or something like that. I'm not sure,
Well,
but he
Okay,
does have one.
that's not a horrible track record.
they're
And how
both
old is
adults.
Umar? Is he
One's
in his
23.
40s or
I think
50s?
one
Umar's,
is
I think he's like 48, 48,
40,
49.
he might be 49 in August.
Okay, so he's about to be 50.
Yeah. So, but my position is, I'm looking at the fact that I'm coming from a perspective is that I want Umar to succeed. I really do want him to succeed. Um, I want Umar to succeed. I want him to open up the school. My main thing with him right now is about the FDMG Academy, not all of this other stuff with Suki Hana and these interviews talking about this and that. About I want him to focus more on that and less on these other. That's just me personally. I'm not saying he has to
Yeah,
do
but
that.
don't you think that your vision of how he should be moving is antiquated? Like let's be honest, like social
Antiquated out.
media. it's just old fashioned. You know what I mean? Like we're
It's
living in
Old
a
fashioned.
You can't
yeah,
make this shit
yeah.
up.
Like you're talking.
Because I want. Well, okay. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say
No,
this.
no, Didro, hold on. Let me tell you this.
Oh
We're
my
living in a digital age, and so social media, networking, content creation, you know, bumping hands with stars. That is where the money resides. You're not gonna get there pretty much no other way,
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna
unless
say
you
this.
get a job.
Listen to me. I'm gonna say this as a person who I see myself as I'm actually more successful than Umar Johnson.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say this as a person who has owned facilities and institutions in our community and been successful with it for 15 years. The way that he's going about doing things is to turn away from the overall goal. And I get it. And I get everything you're saying. If black women are going to be the majority of your supporters, you have to function a certain way. You have to be very personable. You have to exude a certain level of masculinity that these
Charisma.
women are going to be tied to you, and they're going to. And I can understand that. You have to know how to be versatile and work the room and things like that. But but we cannot allow certain things to deter you away from the overall goal. And I think that these things serve as distractions as opposed to elements that can improve the likelihood of the school opening. That's just my perspective. Listen,
Have you ever offered to help Umar with anything?
yes,
Not
yes,
monetary, not monetary.
yes, yes.
Okay, tell me how that went.
Okay. Now, okay. So I'm gonna say this. Now, at one time, I want you to understand my platform from 2018, well, the end of 2018 to 2020 was a pro Umar channel.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
know, it was a pro Umar channel. Okay, so I had gotten a lot of disparaging remarks and hate and everything because a lot of people felt like you supporting Umar was an unpopular thing.
Hmm.
I personally know Umar's father and things of that sort. I know situations in which I have offered, emailed Umar, tried to contact him, talked and tried to offer him help. I know other people who've tried to offer him help when he bought
The
the
building.
school in Wilmington. There were people who offered him help that he denied and didn't want their help.
Yeah.
There's also help that there are people that I know for a fact offered Umar a great deal of resources that he denied because of a variety of different reasons.
Hmm.
And so I know for a fact if Umar would have been open to allow other people to come into the workings of the school, this school would be open right now. But Umar
Exactly.
refused to accept certain help from certain people. Thus, he's in the situation that he's in now. And so, listen, I can't. Like you said earlier, you know this is how he wants to do it. This is his vision. I get that. I'm not going to critique him or feel bad, but we got to understand the decisions that you make business wise are going to have certain consequences and results. And so, at this point, you got to kind of reflect on what you're doing and how it's done, and look at the fact of how effective it is. And if those things are not effective, you're going to have to alter the way you're operating. And he failed to do that. I mean, I've donated thousands of dollars to Umar Johnson. So I have, so as a person who feels that they're vested, and I'm looking at the fact that you mismanaged the 501c3 status, you mismanaged funds with GoFundMe and all this different stuff. You had to give back about two or three $100,000 because of issues with that. Now, some of that wasn't his fault because there are other people that were vested in ruining the project.
Hmm.
Um, but he is you're constantly paying taxes on the property that you can't afford at this point. There's a lot of
But
financial,
how is he paying taxes if it's in a 501c3?
but when he first purchased it, it wasn't a 501(c)(3). He had to we thought he had a 501(c)(3). He lost it, and then he had to reapply.
Mm.
Yes,
They
see, there's a lot of things that Umar financially screwed up.
I mean, I understand, but I also they have this axiom called "help is the sunny side of control." You know what I mean? So on one hand, I do understand him turning down certain type of help because
Right?
a lot.
You want the government in his business.
And that's fine. And I agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like, what I hear you saying is that his ego is not allowing him to see the error of his ways and is causing regression instead of progression. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yes.
yes, and I do think that's not the only thing, but I do think that that is a big part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I do understand, and I understand, and he's even talked about his lack of trust for others. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that in the past, people in the Pan African movement and and other black leaders, their downfall was trusting certain people, and some of those people that they trusted actually did things to bring them down. That happened to Marcus Garvey.
No,
Marcus,
and then look at you, D. Darrell. Like you, I mean, look at you. You said you started as an avid Umar supporter and investor, and then look at now you turned on him and dragging him by the white meat.
no, I
So
ain't dragging
that
them.
will give
Darren
anybody
Burgess, you
trust
been love
issues.
person Omar. You better not talk about my big papa.
No,
It's
no,
not even
Yeah,
listen. It's not even a Umar thing. This is just a human thing because I don't even know that nigga. I don't even really care two shits about him. But at the same time,
you
look
fight
like
so
you talking
hard.
about a person with trust issues, and then look how you treat the person because they don't move the way you want them to move, and you just
but
do a whole
this is
split screen.
but this is years
Mhm.
of things of you saying things going in a bad direction.
Yeah.
This is not isolated little nitpicky stuff like the stuff with Suki. I care less about that. That to me is minor. Or the others, even the conscious stripper stuff. Not only that, there's some other stuff. I don't even want to bring up all the BS that Umar
Have,
has done.
have you had a I'm sorry, Dieter, I didn't catch it if you answered this earlier, but did you say that you've had a conversation with him before?
Yeah, had several conversations with him.
And so do you feel like he didn't value your contribution or what?
I
Like what was
felt
his
like
cadence?
I, I felt like he did value my contribution.
He didn't or did?
He did.
But he didn't apply. He didn't what happened to make you throw the towel in?
Okay. Okay. So the first conversation me and Umar had, we talked about um us being mental health professionals and working in the school systems, dealing with people with kids with and families with ADHD. And I talked about the lack of black males. As far
In
as
the
I talked
field.
to him about, um, there needs to be an increase in black male teachers and black male therapists. That was the first. It was strictly professional. The second time I spoke to him, Umar knew who I was. When he saw me, he spoke to me and said, "What's up, D. Darrell?" And,
Mhm.
and we because this was years later because of the content that I've done. He knew exactly who I was. We chopped it up as if we knew each other. I was trying to get Umar to come on my channel to have a intellectual discussion about
Mhm.
the black community in regards to education, in regards to mental health, financial things, and things of that sort. And he was kind of like, I don't know, and this and that, and other stuff. He didn't know if he wanted to do it or not. He was a little wishy washy. And I look, like if you don't want to do, you don't want to do it. It don't make me one different,
Mhm.
one way or the other. But we did talk about a few things, and we talked about where the school is at, where it's going, and things like that per se. But I told him, if you come on the channel, I want to strictly keep it. I don't want to keep it to the stuff about your personal life. I want to focus on mental health, education, strictly on topics, nothing outside of what people think of. So we had
Mhm.
a very cordial exchange, and I never got the interview, which is fine, okay. But at
That's
the
right.
same time, I still had hope, and as it relates to the school opening. Now, the incident that turned me around, turned me away from Umar, was the fact that the FDMG Academy was becoming a financial cesspool in
Mhm.
which like I talked about, he mismanaged the 501c3.
Yep.
He mismanaged the corporate license to operate in the state, there were taxes that were due. There are large sums of taxes that were due to him buying the property, not being a 501c3, that he ended up having to owe all his money, and the donations were not at a level to sustain the school itself. So yeah, I had issues with that.
So do you feel that do you feel like if you guys were able to like establish a relationship like on the platforms that you would have judged him through the same lens?
No, it wouldn't have changed whether he had a exchange with me um on a platform or not wouldn't have changed my perception of him, because I still think of him in a positive manner. I
But
just think
how would you have addressed that perception if you guys had developed that rapport through him visiting your platform? How would you have addressed the things that you were seeing?
okay. One of the things I want to preface is that he did not want to talk about the school.
Mm.
I
So
just want you to get
he didn't want a public highlight on
Exactly.
the
Yes.
business aspect.
Yes.
No, he
Yes.
didn't. He did not.
Mm.
Now, the only thing that he told me he was willing to talk about mental health issues, educational issues. He did not want to talk about the finances or any level of transparency, which to be honest with you, at that time, and I told people, I don't think he need to give you all of this transparency when there's other institutions that rob the black community that don't give you that level of transparency. So that
Mhm.
wasn't the issue with me. My issue is the end results of what it takes financially to get this school up and running. I'm looking at it strictly from a financial standpoint of the fact that, okay, the black community is not gainfully supporting the your project. I think that you may want to pivot to some other means of getting maybe going to black businesses and black corporations instead of just trying to go for black people as a whole. That may be some things you need to tweak and doing. And also, you can't bleed the account paying taxes,
Mhm.
because he was owing like $10,000, seven, eight, nine, $10,000 a month in taxes.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Yeah, this
That's
is a lot. I
crazy.
mean, I want you to understand. I get what you're saying, virtuous woman TV. I get it that like I know you're looking at like, well, how you went from supporting to, but there's a lot of things that, and to me, some of this is not his fault, because when you are indulging in a project of this magnitude, you're going to make mistakes.
Definitely.
I mean, I've been in business. When I first started, I lost a ton of money the first 2 years of being in
Me
business.
too. Me too. I've
So I
lost
understand that
businesses.
you're going to make mistakes. But at this point, I'm like, brother, like, okay, you you're making repetitive mistakes. Um, I don't see any gains right now. I don't see, where we're constantly at step one where we should be at step 3 or 4 right now.
No
Like,
progression. It's
yeah,
like you
the
take
progression is not
backwards.
there. So I
And not only that,
basically just
it's probably like with the pro blackness being so insulated, I
mhm.
could also see him not having a lot of mentors available to him, unless he were to go outside of the community and deal with, white people or other people who have done, what he's doing to the magnitude that he's doing it. Because it sounds like he needed a mentor. You know what I mean? Or he needed someone to show him how to do it. But it's like if you don't have that information sharing or that network of people greater than you to show you how to do something, then yeah, you're gonna have a lot of mistakes. It's like
Yeah,
raising yourself. You know what I
right.
mean? So I completely understand how he can make mistakes over years. And even though you guys are like, hey, look, you didn't crawl, you didn't did the training wheels, you should be riding by now. But it's like, not if you handicapped. You know what I mean? Like he's essentially handicapped.
Well, my position is, and this leads to an issue with the black community. We got
Hmm.
to learn to start trusting. I mean,
Well,
saying
how
you got to
can
trust
you trust?
everybody, but
But
the
look
black
at what you
community
guys
don't have the
do,
trust
though, D.
that we should have.
Darrell.
Huh?
I said, but that's what I'm saying. Like you said, he said he had trust issues, but then look at what happens. As soon as he drops the ball on anything, or is not moving at the standard of people who are observing, not people who are working, not people who are doing, but people who are observing, and then they turn. How is that going to foster any trust issue when people are, you know what I mean? Like,
That's part of the process. I mean, everybody, you do understand. Like, I'm gonna say this: in any struggle for change, you're gonna have a high level of people who are going to scrutinize everything you're doing. You can't be concerned about. You're not going to please everybody.
but
But
he obviously does not have as well developed an ego as someone like yourself. So for some people, that ridicule or that stuff does affect their esteem. Why do you think when Umar dropped that camera, his house was filled? Did you, the nigga was living in squalor. Like,
yes, he was. He
so do you
was.
think a person that lives in that type of chaos, wakes up in that type of waste dump, can think straight? Of course not. You know what I mean? It's
Chaos is
so he's
good.
obviously not that emotionally well
Chaos is great.
adjusted. The nigga needs a therapist too.
Potentially, yes. I made a comment about that. Man, his dad got hot at me about saying some stuff.
What you said, D. Darrell?
Man,
That's send you therapy.
I basically, when Umar showed the background of that apartment,
Oh my God.
because I've seen people who've done that, I said I think Umar may be potentially
Depressed.
clinically depressed.
Depressed,
And the
absolutely.
thing, see what ended up happening. It was a guy named Real G's TV that interviewed me about this, and just so happened his dad was listening, and his dad, he
Wow.
felt like I was trying to tell everybody Umar crazy. And see, a person with my credentials is different than somebody else saying somebody. But if
Right.
I say something like that, it holds a little.
You diagnosing a nigga. You don't just have an opinion. You
Yeah,
diagnose.
and so and I'm not trying to diagnose him. I can't
Right.
diagnose a person I never met. But at
Right.
the same time, when you see something like that, I'm like, whoa, that looks like somebody potentially may be this or that. He may need to get some help. They need to go call him and do a
Hell
welfare
yeah.
check on
Right.
him and make sure he's okay. That's the level of how bad that was. Because I mean, I have seen clients, particularly when I've done, and I still do contracting with a couple of agencies where when adults are living in that type of environment like that, they're going to either be forced to move out, or they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be hospitalized for the level of
Mm-hmm.
decompensating from as far as their level of function. And that to me was at a crisis level for what I saw. That
I
was
agree, but but you could also see now from that perspective, his social media involvement, his platform, his content creation, that could also have been his way out of that depression if that's what he was in. You know what I mean? So
I
even
okay.
though
I doubt
you could see this as, oh, Umar has lost his way, blah blah, but maybe he's found his way. You know what I mean? Maybe instead of being reclusive and being swallowed by his life, now he's coming out. And maybe it looks off to people on the outside, but that's because you don't know what he was going through on the inside.
Virtuous woman, come on now.
Wow. The
What
fact
he's
that
going
you
on.
are
Okay, I would say
is
this. Okay,
amazing.
I get the framework that as far as the perspective that you have, as far as framing it as if Umar internally may have been going through things that we are not aware of, and it could have you know uh spilled into the real world a certain way on social media and so forth. um
No, that's not exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that he could be using his social media expression. It could be his healing himself out of what he was in. because
I can't.
because the
It's
game
very
age
difficult.
changed.
It'd be very difficult for me to look at social media as being a therapeutic tool for healing.
Exactly.
I can't co-sign
Are
that,
you
but I
no, D Darrell? I can because it's an ego expression. It's a creative outlet. It's somebody to talk to when you have nobody to talk to, and it's especially powerful for people with trust issues.
but the reality is that you're talking to people you don't know versus you talking to someone that can
But D Darrell,
engage you
if
really
you have
in a
trust,
more realistic manner. And
but
you
if you
and
have trust issues, that's going to be the ideal setting for you.
no, if you have trust issues, the goal should be working on being more trustful to people who earned your trust, not to try to talk to people who don't know you so that you don't learn to trust anybody. That to me is self-defeating.
I don't know. I don't know, Darrell. We may disagree on that one because I
Okay.
believe that I believe that as you grow towards self actualization, you rely less on people. You still have a communal approach, and that's one level on the pyramid. At a certain point, you stop relying on the collective, you know what I mean, to sustain you. And then, you know what I mean? So creating or talking or expression, you don't necessarily need that feedback, which is coming from other people's, whatever. At a certain point in life, he's almost 50. He doesn't need that anymore. And it
I,
may have been through that depression that he learned to rely on himself. And isn't that what we all need to do?
you're supposed to rely on yourself, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're exiting
Yeah, to
all
the
frames
exclusion
of
of others.
interaction with other people who can
Yeah.
also be a benefit to you. There has
Well,
to be a level of balance.
but the balance is I'm going to deal with people in a certain context or a certain way. You know what I mean? Such as networking with people like Sukiana. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you,
Oh
you
my
slipped
God.
that in there.
The fuckery.
Okay,
no,
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, virtual. I actually think that it is a. I'm gonna say this. It's really not a bad thing that Umar um is interacting with Sukihana in such a way.
hmm
The thing that I'm concerned about is Umar's track record with women and the fact that this woman already stated that she is sexually interested in you and want to be with you at some point. And I just don't see that being a recipe for something tangible
right.
happening.
So
I'm just
you
Ain't
saying that
nothing productive's
somebody
gonna
gonna
happen.
get
He's
turned
gonna
out?
get his booty eaten like everybody.
she is gonna throw it at Umar and the way we know Umar, he ain't letting nothing pass by.
Exactly.
Okay,
All
so
she
I
does is
got a
throw that
question.
mouth.
Are y'all mad or jealous? I'm confused.
Nah, I would never be
Jealous.
jealous at
Wow.
something. Not
That's
that.
amazing.
Not that one.
It's 11:30.
I like
No.
quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all get a night with Suki. Y'all going to
Now,
Suki
Oh man,
Town.
I'm
she
good.
walking
I'm a pass on
STD
that one.
rate. Once you're a grown woman in your 30s, somebody you gonna bend over and suck the feces out of somebody, you are SCT, your STI risk at happening.
I know the STI risky are them quiet
Or,
little
or what they call
housewives.
hepatitis or whatever, all those disease. She's walking full of it.
It's the quiet girls chaos. Them is the ones.
Oh.
Yeah, and when you admit you do that and you do that as a profession and you double down and you go on air and tell us that this is why I'm a sex demon. I said it might turn on some dudes, but it's going to turn away some of the dudes that say if you risk
I'm
your
gonna
health,
say this. And see, it's just another thing, virtuous woman. Like as you know on YouTube, particularly in these social media spaces. I mean, he's already been aired out by several women in the past. Text messages, what they doing. You know, there's other woman from hate that was of Haitian descent was alluding to the fact that Umar wanted to use her as a, when he come in town, side piece type of thing. I mean, this. And listen, I ain't got no problem with whatever. He a grown man and she a woman. Whatever two adults consent to are between those two adults. And I could just see there's been a situation with a person like Suki Hamner where receipts start. If something go left, receipts start getting plastered all over
We still
YouTube,
will.
and we got another scandal. I'm just saying.
I mean,
But she can't
honestly,
afford right
I
now.
hear what you're saying, but I think that Umar is being responsible by keeping these women as side pieces or pumping dumps, whatever you want to call it, for the simple fact that he's not available. I mean, he can't
Wait, wait.
emotionally. He's not able to be anything more to them. And like I said, a lot of women may project their dreams and fantasies onto him, but if he can't reciprocate, the good men let you go. It's the men who keep you, suck up all your energy, drain you, knowing that they can't give you what you need or want. Those are the bad guys. Now, a lot of women may be disappointed by the fact that they can't have a man the way that they want him, but you have to respect somebody that's not going to drain your life force, knowing that they can't reciprocate your energy.
So
So
so so
it's
so
up
you
to her
expect
to it's up to her to value herself enough to require more.
okay. So you expect Suki Hana to make that determination as far as what she needs and
Suki
things like
Hana is see, this is a thing I think that men have confused. Suki Hana, a lot of women who are sexually provocative are not promiscuous. A lot of the women who are promiscuous are the ones who are very needy, always have to be attached to a man, very codependent, always have to have attention all the time, always have to get under a man to get over another man. The quiet ones, those are the ones who are most likely to be used or groomed or throwing sex. Women who are extroverted, sexually confident, or like I said, provocative, those are not the ones that are going to be exploited by Dr. Umar or anybody else. So I don't have any fear about their relationship. You know what I mean? Now, her saying that she's looking for a mentor, I think that's probably accurate, but I
right?
also see them both as grifting.
Okay. I think that she is looking for. I actually think. Remember when she actually talked about what she was looking for, and she would like to have somebody like I think she was very genuine about that.
Hmm.
The problem is is the work that in getting her to whatever level she wants to be. That interaction, that intimate interaction. I'm not talking about intimacy in the form
Right.
of.
You
I'm
mean
just talking
trust.
about the intimacy of growth that comes along with you spending and investing time with someone that's teaching you and
Right.
helping you develop that things that it can produce the gray area where things can get messy.
I mean, it can, but I mean, you can also find love in a hopeless place. I mean,
Come on.
Oh my god. The fuckery,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
I
Let
mean,
me
you
ask you
guys are
this.
so you guys are so cynical. Like, okay,
No,
and
no, it's
Amazing.
I've been listening to you for a long time, and this is
if it
I'm. you,
listen, okay, if it gets gray and Umar and Suki become a thing, okay, black love, what's the problem?
Oh god.
okay, okay,
No,
that's a
I
good
want you guys to
question.
tell me for real.
Okay,
What's
let
the
me
problem?
hold on. Let me say this. Okay,
Okay,
if you want to talk about black love,
okay.
and we want to talk about the that that journey that they would take where he was mentoring them and mentoring her, and it
Hmm.
evolved into a genuine, um, loving, respectable relationship. I would co-sign that if I see the visual changes and
Right,
growth that Sukihana and Umar made in that, because Umar got some things that he needs to improve on. Too, is not just her. She has her set of issues. Umar has his set of issues. So if I because she has a reputation that precedes her, and that the fact that when if someone saw Umar and her as a couple, particularly with the image that they have, people would definitely think Umar out of his goddamn mind to be with this type of woman based on her past. But if she showed a level of growth and refinement, then that's none of my business. That's between Umar and his wife, or whatever he want
So
to label her
basically,
spiritual wife, and then they would have to. And I can't tell a man who to not choose as a person he wants to be with. Hey,
so
Samba.
you want to see Umar turn a hoe into a spiritual housewife in order for you to be a believer.
Well, what I'm going to say is that I want to. If Umar decides to be with her, I would like to see her exhibit behaviors to show that she has changed. Now, I'm not going to say
Change.
turn a hoe into a housewife, but she would have to show me that she's committed to being a better woman.
But let me
Okay,
ask
let me not hog the panel. Let me let the other sister talk.
Jarrell, can I ask you a question? Why do we need to see Umar or Suki do anything? Why is it our business?
Because
Mm.
it's not our business, but they made it our business.
I'm saying, but we can watch it, but why do we need to see Umar do this or need to see
I don't need to see Umar do anything. My position is that I'm about the school. Really, because both of them have made a spectacle of themselves by taking pictures and doing things on social media as social media content creators.
Mhm.
That's the risk that you take when you put yourself in that position. So if you're going to put yourself in that position, people are going to ridicule you, whether it's fair or not, on the decisions that you make or don't make.
I get what you're saying, but I think that's the whole point. That's why they came out. They knew it would be controversial. Umar is not a stupid man. He knows what he's doing.
Right? But to me, my position is this. Again, I care less about whether he having sex with her, whatever they met and did. They can do whatever they want. My issue is that you're interacting and showcasing all this other stuff, but we're not talking about the work that's needed to open the school.
Do you think we're ever really going to talk about that?
I'm gonna talk about it. I don't care less what everybody else talk.
No,
That's what
I
I'm
don't
gonna talk
mean
about.
I don't mean we as in you. I mean you can talk about it from now until the cows come home, but if Umar doesn't budge in that direction, what's it all for?
But
Okay,
do you think that these men have a genuine interest in the school, or do you think that they just use that to judge Umar with?
well, I can't speak for every man, but I have a genuine hope for the school to open up. Now, there's other people in other spaces, other sectors that we know that don't like Umar Johnson, and that's a given. I get that, but my position is this: if you are going to contort the fact that you are this great orator and you're a great leader in the Pan African movement, all these different things, then we're going to have to start seeing receipts of success to validate that. And opening up the school is to me the hallmark of your legacy. And if this school fails, it hurts your legacy as a man. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
I see
I
what you're
mean, I
saying,
mean,
but
I mean,
I feel like in the middle of all you men's accomplishments, life was lived. Like you were able to obtain a wife, have children, get educated. Like so, but it's almost like with him, you're saying, I don't want to see you with no woman. I don't want to see you shaking hands. I don't want to see you doing none of that until I see this school. And
no, that's not what I
but
said.
he's still a human with needs, and he's
Right.
still living a
He has
normal
this
life, and
delicate
he's
Wait a
just a
minute.
mere
Wait, hold
he's a
on.
mere mortal, but you guys are
No,
like making
no,
it like
no,
he should be held to a higher standard than any of you on your own journeys.
no.
And I just get so I'm like, why are they deifying him like he should be like Jesus and do his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness with no food until this shit gets done?
Umar has done all kind of hedonistic ass shit over
And
these,
so have you and I.
and so my position is that listen, I'm not here to be a moral authority, but what I'm saying is that Umar's personal decisions have affected his image as a quote unquote Pan-African leader slash educator slash whatever he want to coin himself as in the black community, in the conscious community. That's my issue. So my position is that I'm challenging and hopeful that Umar will make better decisions that will not deter him away from opening up and operating his school, because Umar lost a lot of support over the years. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a drastic difference between when I saw Umar in 17 with somewhere between 4 to 5,000 people, and at that very same venue, you have maybe 3 to 400 people, like 10 times less over a I would say a 4-year period. That's a difference. And so when we talk about, and you talked about donations, right? The lack of donations from the black community, which I wholeheartedly agree. And the reason why people stop donating, particularly black women, is because of the things that they saw with Umar online.
I mean, that could be one reason, but at the end of the day, it's not even an Umar thing. It's just an overall in the black community. Like you know what I mean? And that's why he has to reach outside and rub hands with with social media and create content. To me, he's just working. Now you guys are like, oh, you're lollygagging on social media and you're messing with Suki Hana and you're making videos, but that all of those things come with a check attached to them too. So, and a check, yes, don't you?
Okay, from who?
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay, so I'm glad you stated that. Umar has been what's his channel, King Kong Consciousness? That well, he doesn't own the channel, but we know whoever owns the channel probably has a deal with him. Yes. Umar's been making money off of King Kong Consciousness for years. Yeah. Umar is on Instagram. He's on all these different outlets. And you can also donate to him because he has his Cash App that people donate. So Umar has multiple streams of income. Yeah. My position is about the donation of the FDMG Academy. Where are those where's the money for that?
I don't know, but I know that when you're taking on something like a school, in my opinion, you have to increase your visibility, and that's why Umar is the face of consciousness in America right now, in Black America right now.
You think so?
Who is he? Who is his competition? Farrakhan?
As far as in the conscious community, my position is
not just the conscious community, the America's perception of Black America's perception of the conscious community, not what we know. Okay, what people who don't know us know.
I feel at this point that the conscious community is in a state of hibernation, and we don't really have any real person at the forefront of any notability that, let's say, scares or is worth watching. As far as the government, that's what I think. I really think
Umar is a household name, just like Kevin Samuels, wouldn't you say?
No, I don't think he is.
What? Are you serious now?
No, because okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you why.
Everybody knows Dr. Umar.
I actually think most, as far as mainstream wise, I would say Boyce Watkins has a bigger name mainstream than Umar, or even Tariq Nasheed than Umar Johnson.
Well, yeah, I would agree that they're front runners. I definitely. Yeah. Well, Boyce Watkins is a different demographic though, because Boyce Watkins, I think his demographic is more so 50 plus. I think that Tariq Nasheed's demographic is, I don't know. He spent a lot of time dragging diaspora people, so I assume that makes up a lot of his audience too. You know what I mean? Just by proximity. But Umar is for the culture. Like that nigga got spoof channels, he got spoof pages, he got memes. He's a cultural icon in the generation, especially like Gen Z or whatever.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question.
Wait. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Can I ask you? Because it goes according to basically what she's saying. Do you feel that Umar at one point was really for the cause? He was for the greater, I guess, his vision, and somehow he's been co-opted by the system to kind of be part of the system as a distraction?
Mm.
I still think that Umar is for the culture. I still think that Umar is for the movement. I just think that Umar is at a point where because of what he's trying to do, it enters into other disciplines that he is not educated in or effective in operating.
Wait, but
Like
are you asking? Are you saying that Umar has been turned into a mascot?
he's turning himself into a mascot.
But what I'm saying is there a purpose behind that? Is he now becoming that caricature of the pro-black and I'm for the people, and he's like a
That's
joke?
that's taking it further away from dealing with the real issues because we have that symbolic mascot in place.
Exactly. That's my
I,
point.
I, I,
Has he become that?
I'm gonna say at this point, I don't think he's at that level yet. Um, but only time can tell. I think he still genuinely wants to help the community. I think he wants to open the school. I just think that he lacks the tools and he lacks the team around him to do this. Because I must be honest, as we talked about, you even reference your own family, virtuous woman. Your family opened that school up, and it was a host of people. It was no one person that was doing all the work, right?
Right.
Okay, so I don't know any school where only one person did the majority of the work to get the project, up and running. And Umar has failed in delegating aspects of things. It's just like this.
So,
If
do
I
you really
was,
think that
if
he
I was to
sacrificed
open, oh, go ahead.
school to fame? Do you think that he'd rather just be famous for being a pro-black and conscious as opposed to actually having a school?
Yes. You just answer your question. Yes.
Well, a lot of people are thinking that. I'm gonna reserve that right now to say I'm hoping that that's not the case. I actually hope that his main thing is the school. But if this school doesn't open up in the next year or two, then I may start thinking in that manner. What's
Well,
going on
when
beyond
you
the
got
zone? You want to?
up a team
Oh,
and a torch. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, y'all got it.
oh, I don't know who you meant. How's everybody doing?
I'm good.
Back when Umar was, a, a, a star in, like, 2015 to 17. I mean, think of the celebrity help he could have had. People like Wesley Muhammad, Claude Anderson, Sarah Seti, Boyce Watkins. I mean, he's an all star, and all stars should work with other all stars, but it's all about him, and it's not just in terms of him, but he's an all star, so he should work with other popular people. I think there's a reason why Myron from Fresh and Fit wanted to argue with Umar. Now Myron disguises it by saying, "Oh, Umar's the real deal. Tariq he's just a joke." But I believe he meant that he shielded that it's really in reverse. He knows that Tariq is the serious guy. He's the juggernaut, and he knows that Umar is kind of the clown. And I feel that Myron wants to elevate his brand. Oh, you can
X,
go. Yeah.
is that who you talking about?
Myron from Fresh and Fit. Yeah, he said, I don't want to do Tariq. He's nothing, but he meant it in reverse.
So you said Tariq Nasheed is the juggernaut, the ex pimp Marcus. That's the juggernaut.
Oh Lord.
I mean, yeah, people take him. I know his history on Marcus and whatever he did, Marcus, but he has a strong following. Everyone pretty much views Umar as the clown, as the court jester, whether they support him or not. It's like, oh, it's Umar, you know.
But that doesn't just because that's the perception doesn't make it true. Tariq Nasheed is the biggest grifter, fake, whatever he is. Like Tariq, if anybody gave a less fuck, it would be Tariq Nasheed.
I
Like
guess
Tariq,
you're
How do you
right.
feel about the
You're right,
assembly?
virtuous
You feel the
woman.
same?
You're virtuous woman. I kind of get what you're saying, whether it's true or not. But we have to remember that perception is reality for many people. So if Tariq Nasheed is perceived as being more serious and for the cause and for the people, yet Umar is seen as more and more of a joke. I mean, just on Sunday,
Yeah.
he was doing a live stream lying in bed where he looked like a broke down D'Angelo rubbing beneath his waist as he called out all the queens from all over the world. I have no no,
Oh,
no, no,
Lord.
wait. I have no problem with that because I love that chocolate man. I fell in love with him about 15 years ago, and nothing he does is wrong for me as a man. Now, as an activist and a leader, that's a different story.
Who are you talking about, D'Angelo or Umar?
Umar, I love me
Umar
some
did
Umar.
this.
When he dropped that camera and showed that dirty house and was drinking that orange juice out the carton, you didn't you didn't get a little dry.
Listen. He could come over here. I will bathe him. I put him in my shower and some fresh sheets. I just want that 6'3" man, that Leo, that old goon Sade. I want him.
Umar, Diderot, you have to call Umar's daddy and tell him that somebody is willing to clean up the house.
Well, unfortunately, Umar and his dad are not. They don't have the best relationship.
Oh, well, okay, but to
They have a very damaged relationship, actually.
the new panelist host, I understand now, basically from what she just said, basically that Tariq Nasheed appears more serious, but in my opinion, Tariq Nasheed is just a better player than Umar. You know what I mean? He has a better game because he's played many of them, and he's even taught a lot of us how to play it. You know what I mean? So he's just a typical pimp.
Oh yeah,
And so
he's definitely a pimp, but he be pimping like he pimping.
he pimping, been pimping, and
He
he's
big
just
pimping.
you know what I mean? But the fact that a lot of people are such slaves to that I
Yeah.
don't such a turnoff to me when men believe in men like that when it's so clear.
But you got to
But
understand,
the
like
thing is, I think
in this country, they don't give men many people or types or tropes to follow after. So you pick
Hmm.
what seems best. I'm sorry, Beyond the Zone.
Umar was, I believe Umar served as a great, smokescreen. People can say all these, facts or, all of the year to year inconsistencies of Umar, but not many people can mention one thing or let alone two things Tariq Nasheed or Young Pharaoh or anyone else has done. That's kind of like drifting off into the sunset away from people's minds. That's what I think.
So Umar has done what so bad in comparison to these people from your perspective?
The ever longing, donations. Like he won't show us where the money is. He doesn't cooperate with other people. He calls out other people. What's going on in Delaware, the delays. It's just an ongoing thing that's more than, Tariq or Young Pharaoh or anyone else, where it's basically points rather than a continuous stream, a continuous saga of BS.
Okay, so basically Umar is disorganized. He has poor character, like he needs help. Basically, is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, more than needing help, but in terms, it's a cascading failure. It's like a movie of failing. Well, the other guys is like it's a picture or two. There's just more content. There's just more evolving or devolving in terms of Umar Johnson's mission, and the others is not so out in the open.
I mean,
Because
I don't.
I asked,
Young
I just want to
Pharaoh
ask,
complete breakdown.
I just
You know
use
what I mean?
him as an example. Yeah, but how is Tariq Nasheed a hustler beyond a museum? Because I think I speak for a lot of people listening to this. Is like, what did he do that was a hustle or scam
But
other than a museum? I don't know.
the museum never opened, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying other than the
museum
museum.
never opened?
I mean, what do you mean other than the museum? That was a multi-million-dollar hustle. What other hustle does he need?
Facts.
But that's not ongoing. That's not for the past 10 years. I would think when you call him a hustler that he has a track record or, an ongoing saga that's lasted for quite some time. But
I
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
I
say
can't
this.
that.
give you
My
that.
position
If you
is,
steal 2 million in 2 years or 20 years, you stole 2 million.
yeah.
You're a
Not,
scammer.
my
And I
position is this:
said
when
that.
it comes to Tariq, Tariq has actually produced some things that actually made money and have have been tangibles. Like he has produced a library of works and books and things like that that Umar has not done, as far as things people see. Okay, you've utilize your money, your business, whatever. You've created what is the Hidden Colors series and all this different stuff, the other DVDs and things like that. You've created books that people have bought. I mean, there's tangible things that Tariq has done. Umar basically wrote one book, and the second book didn't have any work, nothing cited. And he copyrighted stuff out of the DSM. And so I don't know. I mean, so let's just be honest. Like that's not that doesn't add up. And a person of his quote unquote education and training with a doctorate in psychology knows better. I'm just saying. So I mean, I know that's not for those that are not in mental health. You probably was not looking at it in such a way, but he basically copyrighted stuff out of the DSM.
I
Yeah, you can't do that. I know the DSM because, like Darrell, I'm also a clinical therapist, and yeah, he did do that. He did
He
that.
did it, and to me, I had to basically, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. I kept my mouth closed about it for years because I knew he shouldn't have done it. But I mean, I'm in support of him, but I can't do that anymore. Like I was like, it's just too many things that he's lazy.
yeah.
That was laziness, and so those are like cardinal sins that you should know better. And my position is that to me, that's the difference between when I see Umar and I see Tariq Nasheed. Is Tariq actually produced things that made money? You can see his movies, you've
Tariq is a
seen his
businessman.
books. Umar doesn't. Umar basically has he has two books, and he has a school, a property that he has opened a property that he bought that has never opened as a school.
And be honest with you, Deidre, since you mentioned this, and thank you for getting, I did pay for this book or whatever. Right? Did if he copied from that manual itself, you think he would probably reference the always check the DSM in any chapter of the book, but he didn't do that. So it let people know that he came out of his own intellectual thought, and that's plagiarism for a person that got a doctorate. And not so much. I don't think doctors are supposed to be plagiarizing other people's work. I could be wrong.
Nobody. I don't. A master's level batch. It doesn't matter. No one should be plagiarizing anything, regardless of your educational level.
I guess his point is, as a psychologist, you should especially know that's wrong.
Yes, you should, but he didn't. that's, that's the reality. The book is like see. This is the reason. This is the reason why. I see because I've always uh, and I even told like I think I may have told Umar this, but I know I told his dad this and other people. Like, why are you not pursuing your clinical license as a psychologist? But the stuff that he's done, and they're looking at Umar, I don't think they would even. I don't think the board would approve him as a clinical psychologist.
Oh, hell no.
And if because of not just the fact that you said a lot of stuff that they definitely wouldn't they wouldn't approve of, but your works in itself, the literal works of you plagiarizing the DSM and other things like that would definitely not approve you of being able to operate under that license. And when I kind of came to that understanding, I'm like he's really not. I mean I don't know. It's kind of like you've obtained this academically, but it has not um
Materialized.
it has not transferred to other as far as to to other markets and other aspects of life. You haven't transitioned outside of academia to be as
Right,
successful
but
as you were.
a lot of people need help applying education. You know what I mean? That's what, and that's a lot of reasons why people don't bother to get it, because they don't know how it translates or how to translate it. So that's not uncommon. And if you think that Umar is the only person that ever plagiarized something out of the DSM, come on now. Like all these white
I'm gonna
people
say
be plagiarizing
wait
entire,
a minute.
they plagiarize entire movies, entire books. They still inspired work. They do this shit every day, all
Come
day.
on,
But
okay.
when it comes to us, we always put a
Virtuous,
microscope on every
come
little
on,
thing that
come on,
we do,
virtuous,
and I don't get that sometimes.
virtuous woman. No reputable licensed psychologist is going to plagiarize the DSM.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I
that's
get what
not.
you're
He
saying.
didn't plagiarize the whole thing, I'm sure, but to use a portion of it in one context or another, I'm sure that many people have. And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying that the lens that black people put on other black people to justify why they aren't this, or why typically, like we want to bring that person down. I don't understand that, because the bottom line is that other communities don't do this to each other, and so they continue to thrive and prosper. But whereas our people, we publicly drag each other, and then we wonder why nobody can get on top. Do you know that white people they be cheating their way through medical school, cheating through the bar, cheating through Harvard? Like, they be dumb as rocks. And for us, it's like you want people to justify and validate every little piece of
No,
information or
as
knowledge
a
they
I'm
have to prove something to you who's doing
no,
less. And I just don't
no,
agree with that.
no. That's not what we're doing. What I'm asking Umar to do is to be a better person, a better professional. I'm asking for him the same thing I would ask for myself. I would not dare do things of that sort that Umar has
But
done
the way
in his
that you
position.
guys ask is by highlighting the failures instead of just asking that,
Okay,
and
well,
being genuine and sincere about it. You guys do it from a critical place. So instead of saying, "Hey, can you be a better businessman?" what you say is, "Hey, you failed at this, you copied this, you
no,
did this." And it's like,
no,
that's not how you get anybody
no.
to, one,
When
get past their trust.
when you extend a hand to somebody and they refuse to take the help, that's different. That's a difference. There's a difference between me literally trying to help you and literally
No,
being committed. Because I
but
was committed. I was literally committed with my funds and resources and network that I have of people who are far more richer than I am. And he refused it all.
D. Darrell,
I can't
this
do
is
anything about that.
okay, but this is my perspective. Like I said, for one, help is the sunny side of control. For two, there's nothing wrong with you. Just like you use your platform to say whatever it is you do say, you could also use it to say, "Hey, here's a better way for you to do this. Hey, here's a suggestion. Hey, here's this, here, that." Because what I hear you saying is that, "Oh, well, you refused my help, and you didn't want to come on my platform, and you didn't want to do this, so, and I don't see you getting shit done. So you know what? I'm taking my money, I'm hitting the road, and I'm gonna go against you." Now,
No,
for
that's
somebody
not.
who has
That's a
but for
convoluted
somebody who's
assessment.
but for somebody who claims that they are so interested in this school coming to fruition, you sure are causing a lot of backwards motion yourself.
No, I didn't. No, 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 no.
I feel like I just want to comment.
Go
I
ahead.
feel like Umar has caused, so much damage in terms of attacking other people that you can't really, that it seems obvious why when you don't have your own stuff together and you're attacking other people, then you can't have this, non-hostility clause. And at the risk of sounding like a black conservative, I think, black people, we come at it a lot of at a victim, mindset, and when you have that victim or submissive mindset, that kind of enhances, the backbiting and other comments. But yeah, Umar has just burned way too many bridges. We don't do everyone, like this. Just people who we don't want the racial or microscope, to circle in on itself. But yeah, people who have too much of damage to their characters, such as Umar and the things that he said. I think it's just too much, you know.
And
Well,
I honestly, I really do understand that. But again, a lot of these communities that are faring better than us, they have all that shit going on and more. You know what I mean? But what they don't do is keep each other from thriving. And I just feel like unless you guys are coming with the replacement, then y'all just need to zip it. You know
Well,
what I mean?
wait, virtuous woman, think about this. If you're a supporter and you've given time, money, resources, you have every right to ask what's going on with the school. Just because you critique someone doesn't mean that you're denigrating them. Listen, whom the Lord loves, he also chastens. We need to call out things about our people if we want to uplift one another. We can't just say, well, other communities don't say anything about the nonsense they're doing, so we should do the same thing. We're on the bottom of the totem pole. We don't have that security to just say, let everyone run amok and do what they want. If we don't call each other out in order to improve, then what are we doing?
One, we're not. Well, this is my thing because my whole channel is based on calling people out. So I'm definitely not a stranger to something like that. But I also believe that there's a difference between constructive criticism and whatever destructive criticism.
Deconstructive. So tell me
And
the
I feel
elements
like
of
a lot of what
deconstructive criticism that has
I
happened
feel
tonight.
destructive criticism is one making a mockery of the situation, and I feel like a lot of the times you guys scapegoat the school to only just to kind of make you guys seem genuine when you're just doing a nanny boo boo, and all you guys are doing is just showing your lack of respect for the dude, like, and mocking
The
him,
lack of respect.
like. Yeah, y'all don't like y'all. Half of the niggas is jealous. I mean, as
Jealous of
y'all
what?
are,
For
women,
what?
women. I mean,
The
we open
women?
up.
That ain't
Well, we open
that.
up. Listen, I'm not talking
Okay.
about you. I didn't say you. I said half of the niggas, right? Everybody's talking
Okay.
about, oh, he getting with all these women. They up in there scantily clad, and he supposed to be this type of dude. He should be doing this and that and the third. Then if it's not, then he's famous. You know what I mean? So he's shaking hands, rubbing necks with everybody. Niggas is looking at that shit like, oh, you on social media trying to be famous when you should be opening a school. And it's like, come on now, like you niggas ain't so hooked on this school. Come on now, like stop it. Like
Okay.
you guys use that to cover up your own jealousy and spite towards your brethren who you feel didn't, maybe, I don't know, do something for you that you wanted to happen or something like that. But it's time and time and time again. It ain't even an Umar thing. It's anybody that comes to be known in a leadership type way, especially if it reaches any level of fame. This is the procedure, the standard operating procedure all the time. It's beyond
I
accountability. This
understand
is
what
just
you're.
hate. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go ahead.
brother.
You guys got it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to say what you're arguing is for really why Umar and any other people, they can't argue against other people. They need to meet their deadlines. They need to be financially accurate because I believe in the human mind, in the human spirit, there's this urge to take an effed up situation and just drive it even deeper, into the
Hmm.
effery. I mean, previously on Darrell's platform, I said, yes, there's a lot of maybe conservatives and ADOS and LGBT and liberals that have something to gain from, constantly slamming the school. But the end of the idea, at the end of it's Umar's ball. The ball is in his court. That Delaware, when he even got to school in Delaware, is a forever paused, so many delays. And even just to get to Delaware was a lot of people asking him where the money is, and he would call people the KEWN and all the types of stuff. So if you have a leader that doesn't have a lot of controversy or hasn't been called out or done things that deserve to be called out, I feel that if there's just a slight modicum of things that the leader has said that's bad, we can overlook it. But with Umar, it tends toward the direction it red shifts to just too much. He's done. He burned too many bridges. His character is shot. That's what I think.
Okay. So LeBron James has no red tape, no financial issues, opened a school. All of his eighth graders have failed the state math test for 3 consecutive years in a row. Where is the accountability? Where's the outrage?
And that's I think that's the problem too. Maybe some of these YouTubers, but LeBron is in the industry, and there are some people. Willie D, he was holding LeBron accountable,
Right.
But
Willie D.
I feel
Why
some
you
of
gotta
these
hold the parents accountable?
I, I feel some of
But
these YouTubers might be
What do you mean?
compromised.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean hold the parents accountable?
as a parent, you're responsible for your children. You are somewhat responsible for your children's academic performance.
Okay, but as an educator, as a parent, I'm not trained in educating my children. You are, and that's what you're being paid to do. So I can be a parent, I can love, I can nurture, I can cook, I can clean, but that doesn't mean I can educate. I may not even know how to teach someone. That's why I send them to a professional who has been trained in teaching.
Yeah,
Right?
but as a parent, your job is to also be responsible for fostering an educational environment, and also giving your child other tools to supplement whatever they're lacking in school.
Right. But if it's all the kids, right, then we fire the coach.
Well, what I'm gonna say is that, and that if it's all the kids, I'm blaming the administration and parents.
But we
And
don't hear about it though, right?
But
Because what? It's LeBron James.
you
I mean,
see
but
what's right.
LeBron is not responsible for that.
Yeah.
But Umar is responsible for every single thing though.
Well, yeah, but you see, this is his project. This is what he
It's
did.
LeBron's school though, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about another level of it as it relates to the children and their academic performance. Umar hasn't opened the school yet. If Umar opened the school and he has 100 children, and let's say 50 of those 100 kids were unable to pass, then that would be a whole different argument we'll be making. But he hadn't even gotten to that level yet. He's not
I
there
don't know.
yet. I mean, let's just be real about it.
Even when he gets there, he will be ridiculed heavily if he was having those same type of results. And
You
you know
know
what I
what?
mean? So it's celebrity worship, it's money worship. It's a lot that goes into that shit. And at the end of the day, I don't know how you guys can justify not calling LeBron James to action on that strictly because his name is associated with that school and he's the so-called owner.
Okay,
And then but for him,
so
it's like, well,
what responsibility should LeBron take towards this?
he should take the responsibility that every owner should take towards their failing business.
But what, that the kids didn't perform because, okay, so you're saying he needs to hire better teachers, better curriculum?
He needs to take his butt down there and see what's going on in his school. Just like Oprah Winfrey, she didn't know all that stuff was going on in her school in Africa, but they get to proudly wear these names and then be this beacon of success, and then they got all this shit going on, and you guys don't want to hold them accountable and find reasons for why they shouldn't be, but then you want to own in on Umar. Why? Because you see yourself in him, and it's more competitive where you see Oprah and LeBron as way out of your league, so you don't have that same urge. You know what I mean? So I just don't agree with that.
Well, my position is going to continue. I'm going to continue to reflect on the fact that Umar is putting too much time towards other things instead of what's most important, and that's getting the school open. That's my position. All this other stuff to me is irrelevant to the school. The stuff with Sokihana does nothing for the school. I'm concerned about the institution, not him taking in yeah, you want to help anybody, whatever, but I mean, there's so many aspects to that, so many factors that contribute to why they're doing this. We don't know why he's really doing it or why she's doing it, but you know, those are their own personal, you know, go things that they want to do accomplish. I mean, maybe he wants to put his name more out there to get money. Um, maybe
Yeah,
if he uses her as a project
yeah,
and it becomes
exactly.
successful, it can uplift his name per se.
Yes, yes. That's why I called it a grift because that's exactly what I think they're doing. I
But it's
think
game, but that's a dangerous game he playing because it can backfire.
everything can backfire. But I mean, I'm not. Listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Like I said, I don't know Umar like that. I don't really understand fully. And I can honestly respect that you guys don't make excuses for him. I respect that version of manhood, but at the end of the day, I see this repeatedly in the Black community when it comes to people who choose to step ahead and do anything. It's always just this intense scrutiny, and I just like damn, like you guys don't even try, let alone tear down the person who does. And sometimes I just don't understand that.
I know what you mean in terms of using Umar, to jump off and I don't know, critique other black people's, critique of black people. But like I said, with Umar, you can't unshot an unshotted character, and it's not just his background that's a little sketchy. It's also the history of the state of Delaware in terms of, and as well as even that building that's a little iffy in terms of its character. So
Yeah.
I think whether you're for Umar or against Umar, people have tried to talk to him, expose him, cancel events, donate, call the city. I think in the end, whether you support or don't support him, it's going to lead to maybe a protest at the school as a last minute thing to try to excel Umar Johnson's plans or to hold him accountable. I mean, that's the only thing. Everything else has been there, done that in the last 10 years.
So what would you guys do if he came out tomorrow and said, I'm done with FM, whatever it's called?
I think, well, knowing Umar, he would have a backup. He would have another plan. He would say like, "Oh, these white people, these black people, brothers and sisters, we have to go elsewhere." That's what I think. I don't think he would just
But
end.
I'm just saying, if
It
he
would
just
be
came
just
out and
the end
said,
of this chapter of the book.
no, I'm saying if he just came out and said, I've been trying at this school for 10 years now. I just can't seem to get it right. And I'm done with it. Would you guys respect that?
A lot of people wouldn't, but like I said, no, Umar's character, I think he would more likely fade it into the background. He wouldn't just, I mean, he has so much ego. So the
Yeah.
ultimate anti-ego is to admit that you're wrong or you made so many mistakes and slip-ups, countless. That's not in his character. He would have to break character completely if even that's an option.
Yeah, we talked about his ego earlier. Where I was basically like, okay, is his ego the reason why he doesn't want to accept help or ask for help, or is he just clinging stubbornly to, doing shit the wrong way? Like what the hell, So yeah, I figure he had a lot of ego attached to it though. But I don't know where the derail went, but I gotta jump off. So when he
The
comes back,
smoking
y'all.
gun
Come
is
back. He
that.
come back. He
Oh,
stepped
sorry.
away.
The ultimate smoking gun is that Delaware. He's coming back. Okay.
What were you saying? You said the smoking gun is what?
Okay, yeah, I was saying the smoke. Delaware has a lot of school scams in its history, and you're the only person that needs to be on a board of nonprofit, right? You can be the board yourself. So it's interesting that the two have come together.
Oh, so are you saying that Delaware doesn't have standards, and you think he chose Delaware because of like there's the less of red tape or something like that?
Yes, you can serve by yourself as a nonprofit board, and like I said, it's been known to have several school scams. I mean, heck, the FDMG building itself went through the Moyer Academy Crisis Part One and Two. A couple people on in this sector, featured it in terms of double renting or loss of certain unexpected loss of finances unaccountable. So it's a hot spot, and Umar has a lot of heat around him.
But I'm saying, do you think he intentionally chose that place so that he could operate like without being regulated? Do you think that was intentional?
Highly likely. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going on in his brain, but it's highly likely. I mean, Philadelphia about a year ago or 4 months ago, 6 months ago, banned him from raising money. I believe it was the entire state of Philadelphia. So that's one thing that we have proof of that people that in terms of maybe him being a scammer is that Philadelphia did sign those do not whatever legal papers they implemented.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that like to me, a lot of inner workings when we're looking at the administrative side of things. And to me, I'm gonna say this: a lot of this stuff to me is, like I said, when you're trying to do a project for the first time, you're gonna make mistakes. And I'm not trying to like dismiss the fact that there's a level of inexperience that's actually obvious, but if this stuff has been happening recurrently over and over, and again, like I said, when it comes to the issues of taxes and stuff like that, I mean that can kill a business. I'm looking at this school as a business, and so if you can't cover taxes, you can't cover all of these pre-operational expenses. The expenses are only going to go up once the school opens. And when I've talked to and you may know this, but being coming from a family of educators and doing school, like it's going to operate a school like that is going to cost like $3-4 million a year. So is the Black community going to support this school enough to give them that kind of capital every year?
And the answer is no, Deidre. And that's and mind you, Deidre, that was a big issue of him going into this. Is who's going to pay for this? Because you look at a capital, the target pricing he's looking to gross is roughly $4 million. He probably might got $1 million now in under close to 10 years. By the time if you reach, let's see, a point just to buy the school and get it running, you're $3 million under the rug to maintain it. So you might maintain for the first year, maybe. But after that, it's going to close down because most Black people in this area don't have the funds that's going to support that school.
Wait, so the parents were supposed to be paying out of pocket?
Yes.
And he planned on getting that from a single mother demographic?
Yes.
Yeah, because even with my family school, like a lot of the parents were middle class Black two-parent Black people. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
There were definitely no struggling single mothers unless they had a government program for childcare. You know what I mean? But most of them just paid out of pocket.
And let me tell you something, Virtuous. That school is not going to be cheap. If there are videos floating around right now, where he said that he already admits that these women or that got the money, they said they're going to pay out the pocket. So he's looking at it to gain an extra out of his pocket by charging the tuition, which is not going to be, it's going to be very high tuition for your kids to be learning under his school.
Yeah, that's crazy because most women who are able to make and sustain that kind of tuition are not going to be single mothers, first of all. You know what I mean? Because when you have the ability to have that kind of excess money, then usually you got educated, you got married, you went down the path in a chronological order. You know what I mean? So I don't know. that's dumb in and of itself to even think that, unless he's relying on government subsidies.
Which is against the Pan-African, which is against Pan-African values to have the government.
Boom. So regardless how it plays out, Virtuous, the government's gonna be in this business anyway.
Oh, that's 100% sure. I can tell you right now, because even when my family had the school, tuition was like maybe like $800 a month. and people were struggling, like, and then because everybody was black, it was always nigga talk, like, I'll get you on the 15th, I do, always, you know what I mean? And a lot of the times the teachers went unpaid. A lot of the time my aunts and my grandma, they didn't even take a salary, you know what I mean? So
Wow.
you're gonna be looking at teachers not getting paychecks on every other Friday in a Dr. Umar school. You know what I mean? He gonna be paying them in DI. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me that your family didn't like they tried to work with people and then they financially suffered because they was like,
Working with people, absolutely, and that's what
man,
ultimately led to the demise of the school too. But the school stayed open for 35 years, so it was a success. But it's like over, you know what I mean? Like over time, it's like so much of that you develop in relationship with people. You've had their kids in your school since they were 2. Now they're 7 and 8. And then, you know, families, you see divorces, people losing, you know, finance. You see a little bit of everything. You see a little bit of everything.
were there like a lot of fundraising going on?
A lot fundraising? No.
Yes.
I
No
mean, we did like
fundraising?
we did fundraising like Girl Scouts and stuff like that.
There was no
Is that what?
school fundraising?
I mean, like, I don't know what you mean by that, because like we sold candy and stuff like that, but no, it was the parents were affluent. Like these were like people who had money. You know what I mean? But as
Wow.
it starts to grow, some people didn't have money. You know what I mean? And like I said, they started to allow people to come in with subsidies, and then it was like, you know, subsidies, they defer your money. So you may have to wait 6 months before you get that large back pay from the state. You know what I mean? Or
Wow.
logistical shit
But
like that.
all of those liabilities are adding up because it's just the daily operation of the school is compiling with you know, you're gonna need the day to day.
Exactly. And they had hot meals, hot breakfast, hot lunch, plus snack, then nap times. It was a lot. It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was a lot, but it's a well-known school in Berkeley.
Wow. Well, 35 years is
Can
that
we
sounds
say
like
one thing?
yeah, go ahead, brother.
Okay, I was gonna. It's a fundraising. I mean, I think we can all say at this point it's not a fundraising issue. You know, with Umar, I mean, he's had at least maybe 6 million individual views, probably closer to 8 million individual views on YouTube. You know, people could have just donated $1 or $2. He's been on Twitter for at least a decade and a half, and like I said earlier, I mean, at one point he was star-studded, so he could have talked to, you know, Pan African churches, Claude Anderson, Boyce Watkins. He could have contacted all those people, and all his and he doesn't have any actual school in terms of kids being in it, any tangible things to show for it. But Q Butter and Brother Ben X, who don't have anywhere near the presence that Umar Johnson commanded in 2015 and 2017, and they have done pretty well for themselves. So I think that the physical school, the illustrious, you know, school, so to speak, I think a lot of people are so focused on that they don't realize that he could have done it with the resources he has, or he could have did it a little bit smaller as well. Because Q Butter has done well, Brother Ben X, and a couple other people that have done well with less resources and less time too.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm not. I know all about Q Butter because I've had interactions with him and seen his facility. Actually, he gave me a virtual tour of the school he got, but I don't know about this other person's. But the thing about it is, you know, even though they are up and running, they're doing better. They, in the defense of Umar, they are receiving government funding, which Umar chooses not to do because of his Pan African talking points and values that they choose not. They want something independent of the government as much as they can. So he chooses not to accept that funding that Q Butter and other people who have institutions are willing to do.
And is the government really, so important? Because I mean, there's the curriculum that the government gives you, but teachers
I'm sorry, you were
always
breaking up.
Yeah, he's breaking
can
up pretty.
Yeah, you kind of fading out, brother. Can you
still
come in and come back out? Let me try because it's
slip
Yeah, I don't even think he can hear you telling them.
yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah, you're gonna have to.
people
Why don't you disconnect and come back? Because it's
fire
really bad.
teachers or they have roles. Mr. Black,
Beyond, we can't understand anything you're saying. There's something wrong with your connection. We can hear you, but like you sound like you're blacking out like every word you say.
oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah,
can
that's
hear you.
a bit better.
I was saying teachers can. Okay, I was saying middle school teachers. I said teachers can still implement pro-black talking points and even many lectures, even without it being in the curriculum, right? So I think we put too much onus, too much pressure on what the government can or cannot do. I have yet to hear of a teacher being fired, maybe outside of Florida, of him saying too many pro-black things. I never heard of that.
I mean, but if you are having a school that's government regulated or operated, you do have to follow. I forget what they call the curriculum, but it is a particular curriculum.
Yeah, you have to follow the board, the federal,
Yeah,
the Board of Education,
name for it. In
Department
college.
of Education. You got to follow that. You got to follow the guidelines and you have to offer certain courses that run in line with the Department of Education
Yeah,
federally.
and that's why a lot of people do go private. Like the private school my family had, it was all African American. Like we sang "Lift Every Voice and Ring" every morning, and Black Negro anthem. It was very black. You know what I mean? Very cultural. But if they were to be government funded, they would not have been able to operate like that in that type of bubble. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you would have to follow the public education system.
So
So,
were you educated at this school?
of course.
Okay.
This this was, but it only went up to fifth grade.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it was only up to fifth grade.
Mm,
Yeah, so from
that's
age
interesting. I think to me, stories like this is what I would like to hear more about.
mm,
Because as when I start doing more Umar content, and there's a guy from New Orleans that talked about other black independent schools that were successful, and we don't hear enough about them.
mhm,
And to be honest with you, a lot of people don't know they exist.
mm,
You
yeah,
know, and that's just the reality. A lot of people don't know of successful black institutions that in education that were not, more independent per se. We don't hear enough about that.
mhm,
And
yeah.
I do think that there needs to be more discussions about how African American, how we as a people are creating institutions that are educating our kids, and we're probably producing better outcomes than regular public schools.
We are, because my grandmother, she I don't want to say raised, but she raised, educated Kamala Harris, and she talks about the school all the time. She
Hmm.
talks about school all the time, and my grandmother, all of them. And a lot of the people who came out of the school are doctors, physicians. Like everybody has pretty much been successful with that start. You know what I mean? Because my family believed in the start. You know what I
Right,
mean? So my grandmother had a lot of foster kids. That's just the type of family. You know what I mean?
right, right. It's
But
interesting.
yeah, shit. I mean,
I'm
listen,
gonna be honest with you. Listen to, I don't think I've. This is
you
the first time I've ever heard you talk about Umar.
who me? Who me? I don't.
Yes.
I don't talk about men that much though at
I know that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying. All this it kind of when you came up with your stance, it kind of threw me off a little bit.
DJ Real, like, what the hell going on up
Wait a
here?
minute, I ain't never. I'm like, wait a minute. All the stuff going on, I haven't heard you talk about Umar. I mean, I know you probably meant, but you know, this thing to me, you know, in all essence, you like, I hope it works out where there's a you know a benefit, like things happen, you know, whatever with Sukihana, if that works out and she's better and she does whatever and she transform. I'm actually rooting for her that happens. You know what I'm saying?
She
But
basically, but you would be rooting for her to have the courage to change her public image, because at the end of the day, the liberal media agenda is to embrace whole culture and dismantle black families. And there's a bag that comes with that. There's not a bag that comes with being virtuous unless you know you attach it to Dr. Umar and then you become a project. So
okay,
so we'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why whole culture is being perpetuated. You know what I mean? And it's going to be hard to separate people from the incentive that comes with acting like that kind of caricature. Because I
right.
believe they're all caricatures. I don't believe that this is the way that these women are in real life. But playing that role invites all type of things into your life that you may not even be ready for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you
I agree. I
attracting
agree.
deviants, you attracting predators, all because you playing a role for some money. So we'll see how that goes.
Right, right. Well,
I got
guys, I'm gonna
tomorrow.
go ahead and do my last words. I'm at when it's just 2:30. I didn't plan on being on this, but the conversation just went really good. So
Yeah,
I was glad to get different perspectives on this. But I did know that there's so many people doing content on this topic, and so I just wanted to kind of bring my own perspective and unique perspective and interaction because I followed Umar for a long time, and been in the sector there's an Umar Johnson sector for those that don't know that they talk about this all the time, like constantly. So any little thing Umar, I mean, I get what you said. He is highly scrutinized, and a lot of it is unfair. To me, some of it is of his own doing. So, but I'm gonna start with Beyond the Zone. You want to get any last words? Are you there, brother?
he's on
Um,
mute.
yeah, yeah, you can go first. Other people.
I just want to say it was nice to meet you guys. I plan on hitting the link a little bit more in the future. And shaking things up with my wild thoughts. Um, like I said, I don't really know Umar as intimately as you guys do. So, I'm just looking as a fresh fish. But I do respect the way you guys do not offer excuses, for people's failings. But I also think that there's a balance. And just
Right,
how we view each other in general and how there's a limit on grace, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I always like to put myself in that person's shoes. And if I can't constructively think about how I would do it better, then I usually don't speak on things. And if you can think about how it should be better, then that's what your videos and content should be about. Not about highlighting the failures, but
right,
by showing the correct path. So that's how I feel about it. So
right. Well, I appreciate your input in tonight's show. You definitely made the show today because you definitely brought it to a different place, and that was good. And I appreciate your opinions and perspectives on things. So that was definitely a good thing. So, Chaos, any last words?
No, no, I did a show on this on Mr. Omar Johnson. I played the videotape that he was going on a few people from the sector. You might have to go check my replay. Maybe you could do some content on that. Possibly.
Okay, I'll check it out. Okay.
All right.
All right. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you all for being here. Y'all have a good night. Peace.